In front of the slow-winding pavilion, many of the young experts on the prestigious Splendid Youths list and the Divine Talents list found themselves with their eyes wide open. They stared at the scene in front of them dumbfoundedly, watching as Qin Mu pulled his sword from Yun Jianli's body with blood dripping out. One move was all it took. Qin Mu only used one move and defeated the seemingly invincible Yun Jianli. Not only did he defeat him with one attack, he also broke his divine bridge, sending him to the life and death realm from the divine bridge realm. However, this wasn't the most terrifying occurrence, for the most terrifying occurrence was how Yun Jianli's divine bridge divine treasure was obliterated. In other words, Yun Jianli could never cultivate back to the divine bridge realm in this lifetime. He was now stuck as a divine arts practitioner within the life and death realm with no chance of becoming a god. Though this might not be so bad for Yun Jianli. After all, the male heirs of the Yun family were plagued with a disease that would kill them should they cultivate to the divine bridge realm. Now that Qin Mu had shattered his divine bridge, he might be able to live longer. For other people, however, that fact was too terrifying. The crowd shivered in fear. If they were to face Yun Jianli's move, their chance of victory would be slim. However, they all feared the possibility of failing to dodge Qin Mu's blade, which would leave them to suffer the same fate as Yun Jianli. All of them unavoidably had the scene of Qin Mu's blade stabbing them imprinted into their memory. Regardless of how many times they tried to deduce it, they were still unable to dodge it. Every time they ended up being stabbed by his blade and having their divine treasure sliced apart. It wasn't only their divine bridge divine treasure, but their other divine treasures as well. The spirit embryo, 5 elements, 6 directions, 7 stars, celestial being, and life and death divine treasures. All of them would be sliced apart. That was Qin Mu's full power strike. Suddenly, the lady with the bird head chuckled and said, "I suddenly remembered that I have things to attend to, and thus I shall leave first. I will come and pay my respects to you, Celestial Venerable, another day. Goodbye." The wings behind her body spread open, while the others started walking away. Qin Mu walked forward while holding Yun Jianli in his arm and said in a clear voice, "Since everyone is already here, why not stay for a while first before leaving?" People who don't understand the situation might think that I, Celestial Venerable Mu, don't understand how to properly treat guests, generating rumors. The lady with the bird head, who had intended to fly off, found her body frozen. She didn't dare to move. The others weren't any better off, a delicate cold sweat appearing on their foreheads. Qin Mu smiled gently with red lips and perfect white teeth as he reassured them, saying, "Don't be nervous, everyone. Those of us from the lower bound don't eat others." However, from the perspective of the masses, his smile was the pinnacle of terror and evil. Despite them being children favored by heaven on the Splendid Youths list and Divine Talents list, they felt that they were all too powerless to resist that strike of Qin Mu's. That lady with the bird head muttered, "Do people from the lower bound eat half-gods?" Without answering, Qin Mu assisted Yun Jianli onto the island in front of the slow-winding pavilion and sighed helplessly. "Brother Yun, I originally intended to kill a bunch of blind young experts from the celestial heavens to establish my authority. Now that you allowed me to strike with my full power, how do I kill them to show off my might now?" The crowd felt a chill down their spines as they looked at him, absolutely engulfed in terror. Qin Mu flashed a simple smile and observed his surroundings, apologizing, "I wasn't talking about killing the bunch of you, so don't worry. What's the purpose of this challenge by you lot?" He looked excitedly at the masses, which silenced them as they shook their heads. Qin Mu remained very disappointed. Yun Jianli's body grew increasingly weaker due to his injury, but even though Qin Mu's strike broke his divine bridge, his expression remained unchanged. It seemed like the one injured wasn't him, as he didn't appear to be disappointed by the decimation of his divine bridge divine treasure. He even laughed and said, "Why strike out against the younger generations to show off your might?" Qin Mu laughed in return. "You're right, it's just that my realm isn't high enough. If it were a god that struck out, I wouldn't be able to defend myself." Yun Jianli continued to cough as he warned the masses, saying, "Don't trust him. He just wants to establish his might by killing gods. If you lot call for your senior brothers, most of them will die at his hands." The masses stared at them, unable to utter a single word. As Qin Mu assisted Yun Jianli to pass through them, Qi Jui followed them hastily, also assisting Yun Jianli before quietly grumbling, Cult Master Qin, I think you struck him too harshly. Brother Yun's divine bridge has been sliced apart. It's likely that his family's grandmothers won't forgive you. Everyone in the celestial heavens knows that the widows of the Yun family are the worst people to provoke. Now that you've hurt their precious boy, even if you don't die, you'll likely be skinned alive. Yun Jianli bitterly joked, saying, "My family's grandmothers are so difficult to deal with?" Qijui coldly carried on the joke and said, "If you don't know, ask somebody else. Who in the celestial heavens doesn't know that your Yun family's grandmothers guard their younglings dearly? Cult Master Qin, what you have done is akin to attacking a large hornet's nest." Qin Mu replied, "The slicing apart of Brother Yun's divine bridge was intentional, for it allows him to try the results of Eternal Peace's reform, the Celestial River Divine Treasure. You lot come over too." He signaled for them to come and continued, "Previously, I opened the forum and lectured here to impart the technique to become a god. That was 1,000,000 years ago. Today, I shall do it here again." The people on the Splendid Youths list and Divine Talents list looked at one another as they reluctantly followed him into the slow winding pavilion. Qin Mu finished dealing with Yun Jianli's injuries before explaining. The reason that Celestial Venerable Yun opened the Divine Bridge Divine Treasure then was due to how there was no other path ahead after Celestial Venerable, you opened the Life and Death Divine Treasure. Celestial Venerable Yun wanted to pave a path by raising a bridge, so he opened the Divine Bridge Divine Treasure. This gave Celestial Venerable Yu inspiration to open the big realm of the Celestial Palace, which gave birth to the story of rising heavenwards to become a god. The Divine Bridge Divine Treasure is of critical importance, for without it, there is no realm for the back of the Celestial Palace. Celestial Venerable Yun accomplished a great deed. Yun Jianli remarked, "The Celestial River Divine Treasure that Celestial Venerable talked about, what's up with that?" Qin Mu explained, "The Celestial River Divine Treasure is a result of Eternal Peace's reform. Although the Divine Bridge Divine Treasure is usually inherited, it's not always the case. The Celestial River connects all of the worlds. It opens access to life and death and connects to the Celestial Palace. If the Divine Bridge Divine Treasure is destroyed to open the Celestial River, it will connect the Celestial Palace with all of the 7 divine treasures and combine them to form one divine treasure." Yun Jianli's eyes immediately lit up. The masses within the slow winding pavilion shuddered when thinking about the crux of what Qin Mu said. When the 7 divine treasures combined into one, there would be a sudden surge in vital qi. Anyone below or in the same realm would find the cultivation of their vital qi stronger than those who cultivated it normally. Additionally, because of how the divine treasures became one, the circulation of the technique would be faster than the traditional 7 divine treasures. This was because of how traditional techniques required vital qi to start from the spirit embryo divine treasure in accordance with the technique circulation's guiding path before it could flow to the 5 elements divine treasure. Then it would go through the 5 elements to the 6 directions before reaching the 7 stars, celestial being, life and death, and divine bridge divine treasures. By combining the celestial river divine treasure with the other divine treasures, the vital qi would only circulate in one large divine treasure, which would cut out a lot of unnecessary steps, making it simpler. At the same time, the activation of divine arts would be faster than if one used the traditional 7 divine treasures, which would raise the battle power of divine arts practitioners to a frightening level. After all, they were brilliant youths on the Splendid Youths list and Divine Talents list with extraordinary gifts and intelligence, which allowed them to recognize the enormous potential hidden within the Celestial River Divine Treasure. Qin Mu continued, "After one cultivates to the Celestial Palace realm and becomes a god, the importance of the 7 divine treasures cultivated by divine arts practitioners becomes minimal. They essentially become appendages of the Celestial Palace realm. In the case of the Celestial River Divine Treasure, however, the power of the Celestial Palace can accommodate that of the divine treasure and bolster its power. The magic power of the user will also be denser than if cultivated traditionally, which is of great benefit to gods as well." The lady with the bird head suddenly interrupted him, asking, "Celestial Venerable, for all the praises you sang about the Celestial River Divine Treasure, why then has the Celestial Heavens not thought about replacing the Divine Bridge Divine Treasure with the Celestial River Divine Treasure?" Qin Mu looked at her and revealed the doubt within him on his face. The lady continued, "I am Ke Jingxue of the Splendid Youths list, the disciple of Tai Lao. Tai Lao. Qin Mu had never heard of this god and laughed. Which one of the gods of the celestial heavens would care about the divine treasure after cultivating to the celestial palace realm? It's a mere stepping stone to success. What they care more about is the celestial heavens realm. Once they heard about the celestial heavens realm, all of their thoughts focused on it. As for divine arts practitioners like you, do you lot dare to question your divine masters? Do you lot dare to question the divine treasure cultivation technique they inherited? If any doubts were to be expressed, then there would be a possibility to open the celestial river divine treasure. The masses were stunned before recalling their cultivation process. As the celestial heavens' most outstanding talented youths, they had never thought of getting rid of the divine bridge divine treasure. Their greatest innovations were probably a couple of divine arts of their own creation. To them, every fixed realm was a law that shouldn't be questioned at all. Qin Mu remarked, "It's different in the lower bound. Down there, many people's divine bridge divine treasure was shattered. Hence, countless people researched how to modify the divine treasure, how to break through using current knowledge. Its eternal pieces reform and their refusal to follow the ways of the ancestors and refusal to worship the ancient gods, the celestial heavens, and the celestial venerables that allowed them to reform and possess the celestial river divine treasure." After the masses heard the word reform, they couldn't help but feel a chill down their spines. Suddenly, a youth rose and trembling with a hoarse voice saying, "I shall listen no more. Forgive me for being timid, celestial venerable. I shall take my leave first." Qin Mu asked with concern, "Do you not want to know how to open the celestial river divine treasure?" "I want to." That person's laughter resembled a cry as he protested. "However, I don't dare to listen. I'm afraid that if I listen to your celestial river divine treasure, I would die mysteriously." He turned around and left hastily. Another couple of people also rose and left. Others wanted to leave as well, but the celestial river divine treasure was simply too tempting, which made them hesitate. Chijui's eyes lit up as he rose and said, "I'll escort them out." Qin Mu smiled as he continued to lecture on how to open the celestial river divine treasure. The celestial river divine treasure secretly contains the great Tao of heaven and earth, but the human body can only contain 7 divine treasures at best. This necessitates the scraping of the divine bridge. I have pioneered a couple of techniques to understand the power of the celestial river. After scrapping the divine bridge, one can go to the side of the celestial river to utilize my magical power and understand its power. Qin Mu explained the few techniques to understand the celestial river, sowing doubt in many of the younglings in the slow winding pavilion. Although they memorized the technique to understand the celestial river, they dared not try it. Yun Jianli laughingly said, "Well, then allow a person that's about to die like me try to open the celestial river divine treasure." Ke Jingxue found it hard to believe and suppressed the noise before saying, "Prince Yun, are you sure that you're willing to abandon the divine bridge divine treasure that your ancestor celestial venerable Yun opened? Won't you be betraying celestial venerable Yun?" Yun Jianli shook his head, rebutting, "He wouldn't be so narrow-minded. I think that if he saw celestial venerable Mu's celestial river divine treasure, he would cheer in joy and willingly scrap his own divine bridge divine treasure too." Ke Jingxue whispered, "This is a reform. You must think carefully. Reforming constitutes rebelling." Yun Jianli laughed it off. What fear does a person about to die have? The celestial river had tributaries that flowed into the jade pool, which made the celestial river's power quite dense here too. He immediately tried to utilize the technique of understanding imparted by Qin Mu. He was exceptionally gifted, even more so than the generations of human emperors. Thus, he was able to swiftly grasp the trick and pull the power of the celestial river. All that was seen was that there was a celestial river that gradually formed around him, growing in length. Yun Jianli accumulated power and waited for the opportune moment to achieve his breakthrough. As time passed, everyone looked at him nervously. If Yun Jianli could open the celestial river divine treasure, it would mean that the path that Qin Mu pointed out was viable. Soon, the celestial river that orbited Yun Jianli rushed into his body. Accompanying it was a deafening sound. Yun Jianli's body shook as a curious rhythm emanated from his body. It was a type of Tao sound, whose rhythm resembled the changing tides of the bursting celestial river. It crossed through worlds, from the celestial heaven's celestial palace to the human world, before heading to the ruins of End and Yudu. Such a mesmerizing rhythm made people indulge in it uncontrollably. Yun Jianli was both surprised and pleased as he obsessively inspected his own divine treasure. The water from the celestial river soon drained from the celestial palace and pierced through all of his divine treasures, flowing into Yudu to form one large cycle. Do we have to cultivate the celestial river divine treasure too? Ke Jingxue mumbled. Others were excited to try, but deep worries within them prevented them from doing so. Qin Mu said with deep meaning, "Everyone here has a choice on whether to cultivate the celestial river divine treasure or not. However, if one day the celestial heavens were to declare war on the lower bound, you lot will die at the hands of the lower bound. You lot here can cultivate the celestial river divine treasure too, but the people who desire your lives will become your divine masters or other gods instead." Ke Jingxue felt a chill before she laughed. "Don't try to scare us, celestial venerable. Our masters can reopen the celestial river divine treasure too." Them opening the celestial river divine treasure? Qin Mu laughed heartily. They would have to change their own techniques from the spirit embryo divine treasure. If they happened to fail, they would have to restart via reincarnation, which would require them to give up their current statuses and even lives. The reason that the celestial heavens want to eradicate the lower bound is that they don't want to change at all. Serenity surrounded the slow-winding pavilion. Ke Jingxue and others sunk into silence, their faces revealing the complex emotions and dilemmas within. The celestial river divine treasure moved them, but Qin Mu's extremely convincing speech moved them more. Qin Mu wasn't wrong. The reason that the celestial heavens looked at reforms in a hostile fashion wasn't that they were afraid that their rule would be threatened by the lower bounds. Considering its scale, even if eternal peace was given thousands of years, it wasn't the celestial heavens' opponent. The reason that the celestial heavens viewed reforms with hostility was that those in power within the celestial heavens couldn't attain any benefits from them. If they supported or ignored it, the foundation of their rule would be shaken. If they accepted the reform, they would very likely fall and be taken advantage of by political enemies. Even if they didn't reincarnate, they would still have to alter their own techniques and comprehend them again, which was akin to starting from scratch. The energy needed to reform was too large, and the time taken was too long. What if some new youngling surpassed them during this period? What if they were replaced by some new youngling? Why would they be willing to hand over their power and position? If they ignored the reform, that would constitute a replacement of the old gods with new ones, and these new gods would be stronger than them, the old gods. Eventually, they would be overthrown, just like how they overthrew the reign of the ancient gods. Hence, the simplest way to deal with reforms was to treat them like a betrayal, a rebellion to be purged. Only then could they ensure the longevity of their reign, and that they wouldn't fall, as it made sure that there was no chance of being replaced by future generations. Even though they understood, Ke Jingxue and the others faced a difficult dilemma. Should they cultivate the celestial river divine treasure? Should they accept eternal peace's reform? If they didn't accept it, they would die on the battlefield in the future, since the benefits of the celestial river divine treasure couldn't be matched by the traditional divine bridge divine treasure. If they met someone who had opened the celestial river divine treasure on the battlefield in the future, they would certainly be eliminated. However, accepting the reform would mean that their sects would no longer tolerate them. The elders of their sects would immediately change sides and eliminate them and their clansmen. Qi Jiui entered the pavilion and sat down quietly. The scent of blood was oozing from him. Those in the pavilion were shocked. Qi Jiui had said that he was going to send off those who left, and now the scent of blood was oozing from his body. The likelihood was that they had died. Qin Mu appeared curious, so Qi Jiui explained, "They have been dealt with. The celestial heavens clearly had the intent to kill celestial venerable Mu when they ordered them here. Thus, they were to die at the hands of celestial venerable Mu." Qin Mu frowned and questioned, "Why did you kill them? Couldn't you just let them go?" Qi Jiui smugly replied, "Let them go? Cultmaster Qin, were you hoping to use them to disrupt the celestial heavens? You underestimate it. After they leave, anyone that dared to come to the Jade Pool will die mysteriously. Not one will live, including me." Ke Jingxue and the others felt scared as their hearts turned cold. Qin Mu asked, concerned, "Was it dealt with cleanly?" "Very clean, their souls were dispersed." Qi Jiui continued with a tinge of pride, There's no need to doubt my abilities, Cult Master Qin. Ever since I opened the Celestial River Divine Treasure, I have improved by leaps and bounds. Their divine arts were all outclassed. In the past, I may not have been a worthy opponent to them, but now they couldn't even take a hit from me. Behind him, a 9-headed phoenix appeared atop the Celestial River. Its primordial spirit was arrogant and conceited, and the phoenix itself was abnormally vicious, as it said. They were killed by Celestial Venerable Mu. They challenged Celestial Venerable Mu, but they didn't know of Celestial Venerable Mu's fiendish nature, which led to him obliterating their primordial spirits directly. I believe Celestial Venerable Mu won't mind such a charge, right? Qin Mu smiled. I don't care, I can bear that. Qi Jiui observed his surroundings, his eyes carrying a sinister aura. He comforted everyone, saying, "Everyone can relax. They have been killed by me. Even if you cultivate the Celestial River Divine Treasure, no one will know." A young man murmured, "What if one of us here doesn't cultivate the Celestial River Divine Treasure?" Qi Jiui stopped talking, and the 9-headed phoenix behind him flapped its wings, which radiated flames. In despair, that man pleaded, "We certainly can't hide the fact that we opened the Celestial River Divine Treasure from our sect brothers and our masters. My master is the Heavenly King of the Celestial Heavens too." Yun Jianli interrupted him. "You can go to the primordial realm." Everyone was stunned, confused by the purpose of his speech. Yun Jianli continued, "Going to the primordial realm is a way to live, as it will allow everyone here to avoid being detected by their sections. Additionally, there's Eternal Peace's reform in the lower bounds, which allows one to absorb more of the reform's benefits. After witnessing the capabilities of Celestial Venerable Mu, I too would like to head down. Staying in the celestial heavens is akin to watching the sky from a well, making one narrow-minded and limited in knowledge, unable to experience true heaven and earth. My generation of divine arts practitioners are also seekers of the path. Since the celestial heavens is a dead world where the high gods hold on to their positions of power, reluctant to improve, I see no hope in staying in the celestial heavens. Thus, why not head down below?" Ke Jingxue rose and laughed. "Celestial Venerable Mu, Yun Jianli, and the Savage with 9 brains, we will meet again in the primordial realm." Suddenly, she stopped, turned, and vaguely smiled at a silent youth in the pavilion that wore a yellow shirt. She then said, "Prince Yu, you are a member of the royal family, and thus it's impossible that you would support the reform, right? It's also impossible for you to cultivate the Celestial River Divine Treasure, right?" That youth with the yellow shirt's expression changed rapidly, and he rose immediately. In a state of alarm, he rebutted, "What are you talking about, Sister Jingxue? I have no chance of being the emperor, no matter how high my level of cultivation is. Celestial Emperor doesn't age and doesn't die. Naturally, I am to be rebellious. I support the reform." "Well said. Although I don't trust you." Ke Jingxue laughed and called on the others, saying, "All of us here are on the Splendid Youths list and Divine Talents list, and it's clear that we all need to dirty our hands in order to feel assured. Otherwise, should the news break out that we have cultivated the Celestial River Divine Treasure, none of us will live." Those in the pavilion rose. The youth in the yellow shirt knew that the situation was bad for him, so he immediately rose into the air and attempted to bust out of the roof of the slow-winding pavilion and escape from the top. The moment his body moved, nearly everyone in the slow-winding pavilion acted as well. One by one, figures flashed as countless divine arts were activated to crush the youth in the yellow shirt. His primordial spirit didn't escape either, being completely obliterated by them. It took a long time for tranquility to be restored after everyone landed with their clothes still fluttering. Qin Mu, Qi Jiui, and Yun Jianli watched the scene silently, refusing to intervene by stopping it or speaking. Ke Jingxue wiped her hands clean and stared deeply into Qin Mu's eyes, probing him by saying, "Prince Yu challenged Celestial Venerable Mu and was killed by him in the slow-winding pavilion." Qin Mu nodded and acknowledged her, saying, "I killed him. Many thanks for the blessing of the Celestial Venerable." Ke Jingxue kowtowed to Qin Mu before she rose and left. The others followed suit. Within the pavilion, only Qin Mu, Qi Jiui, and Yun Jianli were left, while outside of it, Yenner and the Dragon Qilin stood guard. Qin Mu was the first to break the silence, sighing, "When I came to the celestial heavens, I intended to kill people to show off my might and greatly disrupt the celestial heavens. Unexpectedly, not only did I not kill a single person, but I have to take the blame for killing many whom I didn't kill. Yun gently coughed as the black chi between his eyebrows became denser, remarking, "This is where Celestial Venerable Mu's power lies. Celestial Venerable, in a short while, you removed over 20 talents from the Splendid Youths list and the Divine Talents list. All of them were talents painstakingly groomed by the Celestial Heaven's heavenly kings, Celestial Venerables and ancient gods, and all of them were forced and manipulated to rebel against them. I'm curious, what exactly did you do in the primordial realm?" Qin Mu's spirits rose as he leaned over and asked, "Brother Yun, have you heard of the Heavenly Saint cult? You see, the reason that Brother Qi always refers to me as Cult Master Qin is that I'm the Heavenly Saint cult's master. Are you interested, Brother Yun?" Yun gently laughed before coughing violently again. Qin Mu felt shaken in his heart as his third eye opened wide. After some examination, he concluded, "After you opened the Celestial River Divine Treasure, your power increased greatly. Thus, you are now nearer to your death date." Yun gently smiled in reply, "Although my death will come soon, your death is sooner. Now that you took responsibility for so many lives, there will be high gods coming after you." Qin Mu leisurely replied, "There are a lot of people that want me dead in the celestial heavens, but there are also a lot of people that wish to avoid that. This is because of how I'm not only Celestial Venerable Mu, and one of the 3 heroes of Eternal Peace's reform, but also the invincible Great Wizard. People who wish for me to live will protect me after witnessing my power during our battle. The unbreakable celestial heavens will break into 2 because of my arrival. The feud between them will grow deeper and more obvious." Yun Jianli felt a chill down his spine before he sighed. "I now understand why you insisted on coming to the celestial heavens, even at the risk of your life. If you remained in the primordial realm, the conflict within the celestial heavens could be suppressed. However, your arrival aroused the internal conflicts within the celestial heavens, causing them to explode and fracture the celestial heavens. After this, the celestial heavens will no longer focus on the lower bounds, and will instead focus on handling the internal crisis. Celestial Venerable Mu, are your schemes always so deep?" Qin Mu vaguely smiled as he said, "Down below, what we have are old and experienced wanderers. I was played by these wanderers to help kickstart the Eternal Peace calamity. What I'm doing now is nothing compared to that." Outside the door, the dragon Qilin called out, "Cult Master, Lady Yun Chuxiu has arrived." They immediately changed topics as Qin Mu told him, "I ordered people to arrange rooms for the both of you. It would be great for both of you to stay here temporarily." Yun Chuxiu's arrival at the slow-winding pavilion was a showcase of her energetic nature. She was always busy surrounding herself with Qin Mu and Qi Jui, while Qi Jui tried to have her by his side, which made her feel harassed. Yun Jianli's condition grew to become more desperate due to his dense cultivation, so Qin Mu was forced to cultivate the Supreme Palace enclosure higher knowledge faster to strengthen his consciousness to prepare for his refining of the cure for Yun Jianli's bloodline curse. His consciousness grew stronger and stronger, and after his modification of the Supreme Palace enclosure higher knowledge, the speed of his cultivation superseded his expectations. "Not much longer, and I will be able to try and break Yun Jianli's bloodline curse." Suddenly, the sky slowly turned dark, and Qin Mu was forced to stop his cultivation and exit the slow-winding pavilion quickly. The slow-winding pavilion was Celestial Empress' residence, and should be eternally radiant. It was impossible for the sky here to turn dark. Yet, at this moment, the celestial bodies of the sky turned dark, and the stars faded. The sky's color resembled that of dusk. Many of the slow-winding pavilion's palace maids emerged, and some hastily looked for lanterns to hang up. Yun Jianli, Yun Chuxiu, and Qi Jui also walked out to look at the sky. In the sky, the sun also slowly faded away while the moon dimmed. As the moonlight became impossible to observe, the stars disappeared from the sky, the color of night becoming denser and denser. "Is this the case for the entire celestial heavens?" a palace maid shouted. "Or is it only the sky above the jade pool?" The other palace maids were busy lighting up lanterns and hanging them, so no answers came. The number of lights in the slow-winding pavilion grew, and it became extremely striking in the darkness. Yun Jianli realized the situation and ran to the slow-winding pavilion shouting, "This isn't good. Don't light up the lanterns. Quickly extinguish them." Qinmu restrained him and said, "Don't be so anxious, Brother Yun. Let's see which side is more powerful." A cold sweat broke out on Yun Jianli's forehead as Yun Chuxiu curiously examined her surroundings before exclaiming, "There's something approaching in the Jade Sea." Something came from the tributary of the Celestial River and entered the Jade Sea. In the darkness, waves suddenly rose from the Jade Sea's surface and towered over the sky. It was as tall as the wall that connected heaven and earth and approached the slow winding pavilion at a terrifying speed. Gotcha! Countless instances of lightning and thunder flashed and rumbled in the sky. The entire jade pool had been secretly blanketed by dark clouds, and within it, sparks appeared suddenly. The sparks grew brighter and brighter, and they lit up the dark clouds so much that it looked like they were going to burn them. Soon, from the clouds, a sinister face belonging to a heavenly king with a curly mustache was spotted. The lightning formed his mustache, and it spread out in all directions, looking as if it was a chaotic dance by curly dragons. It was unspeakably terrifying. The heavenly king of lightning with the curly mustache looked down at the huge waves on the Jade Sea below, and suddenly opened his twisted mouth and released an earth-shattering roar that made the waves crumble. A huge object rose from the ocean, and the dragon roar from it shook the ground. An incomprehensibly large island that was both black and green in color rose from the bottom of the ocean. Qinmu looked at the terrifying sight in front of him, and his gaze grew ever brighter before he muttered, "How to acquire a turning point and drag a sun from the celestial heavens?" Yun Chuxiu heard that and turned to look at him, appearing to be confused. Qinmu smiled at her, and Yun Chuxiu in return smiled back sweetly. This lady's beauty was comparable to clear lake water, free of impurities. Her smile looked as though it reflected her inner heart, pure and flawless, making it seem that any thoughts that were overboard or out of line would be blasphemous to her. Qinmu retracted his gaze, his face full of smiles. He suppressed his wildly beating heart and thought, "Compared to that monster cult master Li Tianxing, she is much more dangerous. When it comes to manipulating the hearts of people, Li Tianxing is still a novice. Had I not met Zhu Wuchen before, I would have been seduced by her. However, this lady has a fault. Her breasts aren't big enough." Within the Jade Sea, winds whirled, waves crashed, and frightening roars were heard continuously. That two gods hid among the darkness, exchanging blows with their divine arts and creating a scene of earth-shattering devastation outside the slow-winding pavilion. Qinmu turned and walked into the pavilion. "Brother Yun, it'll only get busier here. Since we are free, why don't I use the opportunity to undo your bloodline curse?" Yun Jianli quickly followed him, and they entered the sea view gazebo within the slow-winding pavilion. Qinmu sat down and asked, "Who is the God King in the sky? Does Brother Yun recognize him?" Yun Jianli said, "That person is using an image, not revealing his true identity. However, from his divine arts I can tell who he is. It's quite easy to recognize such an existence. He's one of the four great heavenly kings of the celestial heavens, God King Nanming. The person in the sea is ancient god North deity Xianwu. Nanming thunderfire against North deity's 5 great thunderclouds. Although they conceal their true identities, they are unable to fool me." Qinmu's third eye at the heart of his brows opened, and he executed the Supreme Palace enclosure higher knowledge, mobilizing his consciousness. In an instant, his consciousness became immeasurably strong. Within his third eye's hexagon-shaped pupil, his consciousness transformed into a straight ray of light that shone on the heart of Yun Jianli's brows. Right at this moment, dim daylight suddenly appeared in the sky, with the sun looking quite dismal in the thick fog. However, as the sun flickered gently, countless suns appeared behind those dark clouds instantly. One by one they hung in the sky, hiding behind the clouds. Following which, innumerous 3-legged black crows flew from these suns, charging towards the clouds and penetrating them to arrive at the jade pool. All sorts of shrill cries were heard as a myriad of 3-legged golden crows charged towards the gazebo within the slow-winding pavilion in the darkness. They dragged bright flames with them, blotting out the sky. Yun Jianli couldn't help but glance outside, his voice hoarse as he said, "It's great sun sovereign." Yenner and the dragon Qilin hurried over. When they were close to the gazebo, Yenner suddenly transformed into a dragon sparrow and flew onto the roof. She looked nervously at the golden crows that were charging in from all directions. Qijui was about to rush over when Yun Chuxiu smiled. "Young Master Qi, it's very dangerous here. Why put yourself in harm's way?" Qijui's gaze was warm. "It's more dangerous being with you. You're affecting my Dao heart." After saying that, he walked towards the gazebo where Qin Mu was. Yun Chuxiu furiously followed him. Suddenly, many dim stars appeared in the sky. They looked shaky as though space-time was unstable. One by one, they collapsed into the Jade Sea, creating ear-deafening noises. The stars pierced the extremely thick dark clouds, dragging their long tails of flames with them. As they crashed into the Jade Sea, the surface was blasted open by the impact. In the sea, simple but imposing gods stood up one after another, reaching up to grab the golden crows that were dancing in the sky. Innumerable giants in the sea and countless golden crows in the sky were killing each other, preventing others from nearing the slow-winding pavilion. Qin Mu wanted to remedy the problem at the source, so his consciousness followed the flow of Yun Jianli's blood to the source of the curse, finally discovering it. At this moment, an angry roar came from the sky. A gigantic palm parted the sun, clouds, and crows in the sky, crashing towards the slow-winding pavilion. As it moved through the air, the friction between the palm and the air caused it to be set ablaze. It looked certain that it would pulverize the island containing the slow-winding pavilion, burning everything to ashes. At this instant, the sound of a gong was heard. The island was bathed in gold as a ball of golden light appeared in the west. It tumbled and rolled at high speed, arriving above the slow-winding pavilion. That ball of golden light spun rapidly, and within it, a white tiger could be faintly seen, jumping and rejoicing in joy. Countless rays of golden sword qi shot up into the sky. In a split second, that giant flaming hand was pierced with 1,000 holes. A cold snort came from the sky. Suddenly, flames began to burn as a shining pillar descended from the sky. It stabbed upright into the Jade Sea, its height immeasurable. Using the slow-winding pavilion as the center, it started to stir vigorously, seeming as though it was trying to overturn the seas and rivers. That ball of golden light remained floating above the slow-winding pavilion. It released its light rays, and Dao sound trembled and resonated. A white tiger pounced from the golden light, intercepting that pillar repeatedly. That pillar swiftly shrunk until it looked like a golden needle, appearing and disappearing unpredictably, making it difficult for that ball of golden light to intercept it. At this moment, a golden list flew from the darkness, fluttering in the wind. The golden needle pierced the golden list, but it wasn't out of danger yet. The golden list and golden needle clashed in the sky, radiating terrifying levels of power. The people on the island trembled with fear. If one of these attacks landed on the island, they and the island would be wiped out completely. Even their souls wouldn't survive. Even a numinous sky realm individual like Yenner was unable to shield herself from such attacks. There was only death. "Brother Yun, don't be distracted." Qin Mu sensed some disturbance in Yun Jianli's consciousness, so he reminded him, saying, "You're distracted, and this is interfering with my efforts to rid your body of the bloodline curse." Yun Jianli couldn't help it, saying, "Celestial Venerable, how can you be so nonchalant? Are you not afraid? If any of the divine art slips through those strong practitioners that are guarding you, it'll be enough to kill us 1,000,000 times over." Qin Mu's consciousness surged into his spirit embryo divine treasure. It looked like a gold-colored torrent, striking the spirit platform and transforming into a dazzling sacrificial altar. "Naturally, I'm afraid. However, they will show proper restraint. Those that want me dead won't completely fall out with me, as that would be equivalent to ripping the celestial heavens apart. If they want me to live, they will protect me at all costs. This is where our chance of survival lies." "Brother Yun, did you not make preparations for your death already? Why are you still afraid?" Yun Jianli's primordial spirit stared at the sacrificial altar in the spirit embryo divine treasure. Qin Mu's consciousness actually condensed into this physical object. It was the first time he had encountered such a strong consciousness. "Because of my bloodline curse, I'm unable to live until I become a god. Hence, I'm not afraid of death. However, when actually facing death, I'm still afraid." He couldn't help but laugh. Outside, a terrifying wave came rippling by as flames flew out of nowhere, like an enormous firebird sprinting at full speed through the darkness. On top of the gazebo, Yennefer, who had transformed into a dragon sparrow, cheered and leaped around excitedly, almost bringing it down. It was getting chaotic as a continuous stream of strong existences joined the battle. Among the darkness, a Mingdu heavenly gate rose from the Jade Sea. A life and death book flew out from the heavenly gate, radiating brilliantly and shining its light towards the island. Just as the life and death book appeared, a giant dragon head emerged from behind the island. Its long neck passed over the island as its head moved to the front of the slow-winding pavilion, shielding it from the light of the life and death book. As the giant dragon breathed, thunder and lightning from everywhere within 10,000 miles crashed into the Mingdu heavenly gate. Suddenly, an old-looking tree descended from the sky, smashing the giant dragon's head into the Jade Sea. Its body wriggled, circumventing the island so as to avoid crushing the people on it. The giant dragon coiled around the tree, locking it in place. The roots of the old-looking tree suddenly expanded and climbed up the giant dragon's body as they battled each other among the sea and clouds. Yun Jianli, Qijui, and the rest were dazzled but had fear in their hearts. The island that the slow-winding pavilion stood on was too dangerous. They could be smashed into flying ashes at any moment. Even so, the culprits weren't the strongest existences. The strongest existences in the celestial heavens were the 10 current celestial venerables. Those 10 were the strongest existences since the beginning of time. The hexagon-shaped pupil at the heart of Qinmu's brows was getting brighter, mobilizing the grand primordium origin stone with all its might. The golden sacrificial altar that he had set up in Yun Jianli's spirit embryo divine treasure was immediately activated. This sacrificial altar peeled the curse from Yun Jianli's bloodline layer by layer, as though it was peeling silk off the cocoon of a silkworm. At this instant, the sky trembled incessantly. Dao's sound filled the sky, and for a moment, weighed upon the existences with concealed identities that were battling among themselves in the Jade Sea. This power was so frightening and strong that it was hopeless to even think of resisting. Not only were the people on the island petrified, the terrifying existences that were fighting had also quieted down. In the blink of an eye, the Jade Sea was quiet and calm. Giants with concealed identities hid among the gloomy clouds, while the sun and moon rose from the sea to take shelter behind them. The stars floated into the sky one after another, disappearing. The golden light dispersed as the golden list retreated. The white banner was gone, while the golden needle pulled back. The divine dragon dived into the sea, and the black tortoise escaped. Only the quiet Jade Sea remained. It was as though the world-annihilating battle earlier didn't happen at all. The sky continued to be overcast by dark clouds, leaving one unable to see any daylight. Total darkness engulfed the Jade Sea, with the slow-winding pavilion being the only light source. At this moment, a human figure appeared above the sea surface, walking on water as he approached. He gave out an aura that was beyond the Emperor's throne realm, capable of terrifying and subduing all. He had that kind of power and ability. He wanted to kill, and there was no one in the celestial heavens that was able to stop him. And right now he was there to kill someone. He continued to conceal his identity, not wanting people to recognize him. The man he wanted to kill was Celestial Venerable Mu, a celestial venerable that imparted the way to become a god to the people, allowing the realm of God to become secular. He didn't want to leave too many traces, in case there were people who would use this to suppress him or get rid of him. Right now he had no one standing in his way, and he was very close to the slow-winding pavilion. Yun Jianli quickly turned his head and said hoarsely, "Celestial Venerable Mu." Qin Mu remained fully focused on undoing the bloodline curse, saying indifferently, "Calm down. What happened just now was only the pre-show. The main event is starting now." Cold sweat appeared on Qijui's forehead as he felt a sense of hopelessness. Yennefer returned to the gazebo, her feathers quivering uneasily. She produced a lantern out of nowhere but was still trembling slightly despite holding it. The lantern was given to her by Celestial Venerable Yu, and it contained her divine arts. Whether this would protect them, Yennefer was unsure. Only the dragon Qilin laid prone at the foot of the pavilion, his eyes closed, fast asleep. At this moment, a light shone from beneath the sea surface. That man suddenly stopped walking, lowering his head to look into the water. Underneath the sea surface, a paper boat was traveling below his feet, following his footpath like a shadow. On the boat, an elder was carrying a lamp. As that man stopped, the boat also stopped advancing. Within the slow winding pavilion, Qin Mu laughed. Does anyone want to witness an existence that has the cultivation of an incomplete celestial heavens realm exchange blows? No, Qi Jui said resolutely. Over my dead body. Things have already gotten out of hand. His forehead was covered with cold sweat, and his heart was filled with overwhelming hopelessness. Elder messenger of death and Yudu's benevolent saintly king equal to heaven, they were both celestial venerable Yu, one of the 9 celestial venerables of the Dragon Han era, founder and creator of the life and death divine treasure. While the other figure remained unknown, he should be a celestial venerable of the celestial heavens. If the 2 celestial venerables were to battle, what kind of terrifying shockwaves would they produce? Not to mention the tiny gazebo, the tiny slow winding pavilion, or the tiny island, even the jade pool might not survive. Who knows, the entire celestial heavens might be smashed into pieces. That figure hadn't made a move but continued to look at the tranquil sea surface. Beneath it, the paper boat was quietly floating in another world. It looked as though the sea surface should be over there in that world, while the bottom of the sea was over here. On the paper boat, Celestial Venerable Yu was silent and didn't make a move. Both of them were apprehensive, not willing to upset the balance of things. Nor were they keen on destroying the jade pool or celestial heavens. At this moment, Qin Mu finally removed the bloodline curse in Yun Jianli's body. It was a type of blood-colored consciousness and was being forcefully restrained by him on the sacrificial altar of Yun Jianli's spirit embryo divine treasure. Qin Mu relaxed. Suddenly the blood-colored consciousness condensed into a blurry figure that let out a weird and indistinct laugh. He, which master of creation has removed my bloodline curse? I didn't expect there to be another master of creation in the celestial heavens. Qin Mu's consciousness communicated, saying, "It's me." "Oh, it's Celestial Venerable Mu." That figure was shocked. "You actually understood the spells of my race. You are worthy of being a Celestial Venerable. However, you can't even protect yourself, yet you have the audacity to ruin my plans. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You could simply stay here for protection, yet you insist on provoking me." Suddenly, the sky above the jade pool started to shake violently, impressively signaling the arrival of a second Celestial Venerable. The fragile balance between the figure on the sea surface and Celestial Venerable Yu was instantly broken by this unexpected visitor. At this moment, even Qin Mu's scalp turned numb against his will. It was as if he was falling into an abyss. Even though the celestial heavens realm remained incomplete, it was still the highest realm, which made even an incomplete version of it terrifying. However, Celestial Venerable, you might not end up as the opponent of the mystery person on the sea's surface. All these years, the celestial heavens had been trying to search for various Emperor's Throne techniques with the intent of forging a complete celestial heavens technique by combining all of them. Although they hadn't succeeded yet, they still accumulated a lot of techniques. It had already been a long time since Celestial Venerable Yu left the circle of power in the celestial heavens and went to Yudu. The number of strong practitioners at the Emperor's Throne realm that had died in combat were many, and some of their souls belonged to Yudu, which meant that Celestial Venerable Yu might have acquired many Emperor's Throne techniques. However, for a long time, the use of Yudu had been weakened by the celestial heavens. An example of this would be the order by the celestial heavens to Black Deity, Son of Heaven Yin, to construct Mingdu. Its purpose wasn't just to weaken Earth count, it was also meant to intercept some of the existing souls of dead Emperor's Throne practitioners. As such, it would be impossible for Celestial Venerable Yu to create a Celestial Heavens realm technique. There was also the sheer number of resources occupied by the Celestial Heavens, as well as Tao Ancestors' classic algebra calculation of the various ancient gods' great Tao runes. Therefore, Celestial Venerable Yu couldn't be the opponent of the mystery person on the sea. Furthermore, another Celestial Venerable level presence had arrived. A cold sweat broke out of Qin Mu's forehead. He originally thought that the person who saved him had met the ancient Celestial Emperor. If the ancient Celestial Emperor did help, it would be easy to rip apart the celestial heavens. It was just that he didn't expect Celestial Venerable Yu to be so concerned with his safety that he would personally intervene. He was touched, but he was also worried about Celestial Venerable Yu's safety. Celestial Venerable Yu flared up at almost the same time as the mystery man on the sea. He raised his lantern and smacked it heavily. Immediately, it was as if the Jade Sea had flipped itself. In the next moment, the Jade Sea disappeared from the celestial heavens and appeared in a world shrouded in darkness. The Jade Pavilion and the Jade Sea of the celestial heavens were forced into Yudu by him. At the same time, the mystery person struck too, and celestial palaces appeared behind him, one after another, connecting heaven and earth and creating a vast celestial heavens. At the same time, another figure appeared on the surface of the Yudu Jade Sea, with lights bursting forth behind his body. Incomplete yet identical celestial palaces appeared one after another. The two great celestial venerables raised their legs together and used their might to step on the surface of the Jade Sea, as the space around them violently shook. The Jade Sea that was being pressed on returned to the celestial heavens. There's no way that celestial venerable you can handle these two people at the same time. Qin abruptly intervened and forcefully eliminated the consciousness of the master of creation on the sacrificial altar. He followed up on this by rising and shooting a beam of light from between his eyebrows. Qi Zhou, Yun Jianli, and the others were shocked and couldn't understand what was going on. They believed that Qin Mu had become extraordinarily daring enough to strike out against those two celestial venerables. Unexpectedly, the divine light from Qin Mu's third eye was shown in the direction of Yun Chuxiu, which perplexed the two of them even more. The light from Qin Mu burst forth, and a coffin appeared beneath Yun Chuxiu, which led to a scream from her as she backed off. Qin Mu swept his sleeves as that coffin opened to reveal a dense divine light within. Yun Chuxiu's heart jumped when she saw the corpse inside. Qin Mu walked towards the coffin and solemnly said, "If Celestial Venerable you can't handle the situation, I will use Soul Guide to summon the soul of the owner of this corpse, reconstruct her soul and revive her." Just as Qin Mu looked at her, Yun Chuxiu glanced at him. Their eyes met as Yun Chuxiu laughed. As expected of a great wizard. She went silent after that, and the sky rumbled once more as another celestial venerable arrived. His aura burst forth as a series of celestial palaces appeared, and Tao voices rang through space. However, this particular celestial venerable wasn't after Celestial Venerable Yu, but was after the two celestial venerables from just now. Those two were stunned and found the situation hard to believe, considering how they hid their real identities in order not to bear the charge of murdering Celestial Venerable Mu. They were unable to identify this new Celestial Venerable, who just appeared. Qin Mu relaxed as he closed the coffin and sent it back into the Qin word land within his third eye. He then nervously paid attention to the situation. Yun Chuxiu appeared by his side to watch the situation unfolding on the Jade Sea as she whispered, "So you know who I am now?" Qin Mu nodded and whispered in an even softer voice, "Yes. I once summoned souls for the Empress on the ghost ship." Yun Chuxiu laughed. "I have been trying to find out the identity of the one who summoned souls for me, a few 100,000 years ago. I then heard that there was an invincible great wizard, so I deduced that it was you, and I turned out to be right." Qin Mu laughed loudly. Yun Chuxiu's eyebrows drooped shyly as she twisted the corner of her shirt, acting as if she was a young lady experiencing her first love as she quietly threatened him. "You better keep my sister's corpse properly. If not, I won't forgive you. The other ancient gods need your reconstruction methods, but I don't. My soul is perfectly complete, and I already escaped the binding of my ancient god corporeal body a long time ago." Qi Zhou and Yun Jianli, who watched from inside the pavilion, couldn't help but feel sour over the scene in front of them. Even though Yun Jianli knew that this lady was up to no good, he still couldn't help but feel some sourness and jealousy. None of them expected that Qin Mu and Yun Chuxiu weren't flirting, and were actually both threatening one another. Qin Mu merely found Yun Chuxiu's Achilles heel, and threatened her with the prospect of reviving Mistress Yuemu. Meanwhile, although Yun Chuxiu did help Qin Mu break the deadlock, she was threatening him too. However, Qin Mu could finally verify a theory of his, that the sister of Celestial Empress, Mistress Yuenmu, was indeed dead, and she died at Celestial Empress' hands. The mysterious attack on Celestial Empress during the Dragon Han era was finally solved. Yet some suspicion remained. For instance, why was Celestial Venerable Ling's hairpin stuck in the back of Mistress Yuenmu's head? According to Qin Mu's theory, Celestial Empress had already reached an agreement with the Heaven Alliance then, and when she returned home, she encouraged Dragon Count Country to rebel and trap the ruins of End. Celestial Emperor sent out the feathered forest guards as reinforcements, and Celestial Empress created the facade of another Celestial Empress, attacking her in front of Wei Suifeng to make the world believe that she died. In reality, she killed Mistress Yuanmu and faked her death to get away with it, creating a facade of her death in the process. Afterward, when Celestial Venerable Ling intervened and saw the incident where the feathered forest guards and their ship became a ghost ship, she made up the transmigration incident involving the feathered forest guards to get rid of any evidence. Meanwhile, the body of Mistress Yuanmu wasn't put into the pair of flowers in the ruins of End. This was because the primordial spirit of the Empress was injected into Mistress Yuanmu's corpse, so that it could return to the celestial heavens and announce to the world that Celestial Empress hadn't died yet. The ancient Celestial Emperor was particularly fond of Mistress Yuanmu, so he reveled in helping her hide the fact that she wasn't the real Celestial Empress, not knowing that the person within her body was indeed the real Celestial Empress. As such, Celestial Empress rid herself of a disobedient sister, and completed the process of substitution. After that, she schemed with Celestial Venerable Ling to create Zhu Wuqian, using her to trick him and bury the adulterous couple that betrayed her. After getting rid of the ancient Celestial Emperor, she, Celestial Venerable Yun, and Celestial Venerable Hao flew towards the celestial heavens to take the body of Celestial Emperor. In the end, the identity of the person who ultimately took it remained a mystery. After connecting the dots on these events, Qin Mu was left with only one mystery. Why was Celestial Venerable Ling's hairpin stuck in the back of the head of Mistress Yuanmu? Could it be that after Celestial Venerable Ling tried to use her hairpin to kill Celestial Empress, Celestial Emperor unexpectedly exploited this opportunity to rid himself of the body? That was Qin Mu's theory, but whether it was the truth, one couldn't tell. On the Jade Sea, the four Celestial Venerables faced off against one another, which made the scene stifling, causing the people on the island to be unable to catch their breath. Besides them, there were numerous palace maids that were squeezed together on the island. Although they were either gods or half-gods and thus had extraordinary bloodlines, if the four Celestial Venerables fought, they would die. Shu Jun. Now you can find out the identity of this master of creation, right? Qin Mu rallied his consciousness and told the big ball of flesh on the Grand Primordium Origin Stone's sacrificial altar. The deal between us is complete. The master of creation he was talking about was the third Celestial Venerable to appear on the Jade Sea. This person was the prehistoric master of creation that was hidden within the celestial heavens, the person who cursed Celestial Venerable Yun's bloodline. His arrival tipped the balance between Celestial Venerable Yu and the mystery person, forcing Celestial Venerable Yu to strike first. On the sacrificial altar, the big ball of flesh became a big eyeball and helped Qin Mu observe that person. That Celestial Venerable's build was imposing, and he was shrouded in dense light, which made it impossible for one to see his face clearly. Incomplete. I can't see his face clearly, Shu Jun retorted. Qin Mu apathetically laughed. I have helped you find the master of creation you sought. The deal is complete. As for the fact that you can't see his face clearly, that's because of your incompetence, which is none of my business. Shu Jun replied. It's not that I'm incompetent, it's that you are. I borrowed your eyes to look at him. The reason I can't figure out his face is that your cultivation is too weak and can't penetrate the light surrounding his face. As long as I don't know which Celestial Venerable of the celestial heavens he is, the deal between us isn't complete. Qin Mu felt resentful. At this moment, the face-off between the four Celestial Venerables formed a weird balance, and no one dared to strike first. Celestial Venerable Yu, you came from afar. Unexpectedly, your arrival made my celestial heavens suffer from internal strife. Suddenly, a loud voice came from beyond the skies, and a god with white eyebrows, a white mustache, and white eyes descended from the heavens, surrounded by rays of light behind his head. He laughed as he said, all of you hide your faces, not daring enough to reveal your identities. But I, Ancestral God King, am not afraid. I want to kill even my father, Heaven Duke, so why would I not want to kill a mere Celestial Venerable Mu? The sky lit up as a large glow descended from the heavens and smashed onto the surface of the Jade Sea. The light was restless as it appeared with the gray-haired Heaven Duke. His body slowly rose up as it grew taller and larger. Old man, Ancestral God King saw the descent of Heaven Duke, and his eye violently pulsated. Heaven Duke was silent. At that moment, space violently shook again as another celestial venerable, who also hid his identity, arrived. He laughed and said, "Heaven Duke, your arrival from afar helps to elevate the celestial heavens." The situation lost its balance again. Heaven Duke grunted as a sound arrived, rumbling like thunder, proclaiming, "Earth Count, you still want to sit this one out?" The masses were shocked. Black chi rumbled from deep inside the Jade Sea as the sea cracked open, and the twin horns of Earth Count rose from the surface. Even Earth Count can't sit back and watch anymore. In the pavilion, Yun Jianli suddenly felt relieved as he said, "The more people that arrive, the safer our situation. After all, if these people strike, the outcome of the battle is less than certain. In addition, the celestial heavens might be shattered because of it. Thus, they won't strike." Chi Joey also felt relieved as he cautiously whispered, "However, the celestial heavens will fracture because of this. Earth Count, Heaven Duke, why didn't the two of you tell us that you were going to arrive simultaneously?" Another celestial venerable approached the scene on the Jade Sea whilst hiding his identity. Before he stopped, flames suddenly emerged as South Deity's vermilion bird appeared in the center of all of these existences. In its hand was a peach flower, and she smiled and said, "Everyone, my capabilities are weaker than yours. I'm merely here to deliver an item, not to interfere with the situation." She stuck the peach flower onto the surface of the sea, and suddenly countless peach trees appeared. They extended for thousands of miles, blanketing the surface of the Jade Sea. Within the peach trees, there were multiple young ladies who hung lanterns underneath the palace's roof before returning to the palace. Qin Mu was relieved with Celestial Venerable Yu's arrival. Although both of Celestial Venerable Yu's legs were completely disabled, she was still, nevertheless, the oldest Celestial Venerable. Even if she did live in seclusion for many years, she was still not to be looked down upon. The space around the Jade Pool was almost completely shattered by these horrifying beings. Only the island where the slow-winding pavilion sat was considered a safe shelter. Looking out from the island, space was shattered into countless fragments, creating a terrifying space storm that rotated frantically. Those terrifying beings sat motionless inside the turbulence of shattered space. The scene was truly terrifying, which made Qin Mu and the others feel that the outside world had already been annihilated, and that their island was all that was left. If a battle between the Celestial Venerables breaks out, it's likely that the celestial heavens will be completely annihilated. Qin Mu kicked the still sleeping dragon Qilin and said, "Unfortunately, no battles will be fought." The dragon Qilin woke up and looked around him before asking, "It's still not over, Cult Master?" Qin Mu nodded, and the dragon Qilin went back to sleep while lying on the ground. Yun Jianli laughed. "This guy is blessed to be able to sleep in such a situation." The dragon Qilin opened his sleepy eyes and in a muffled voice said, "If the sky falls, Cult Master will help to hold it up. If he dies, so will I, so why not go to sleep?" The masses laughed involuntarily. However, the dragon Qilin's words made sense upon greater analysis. The situation at hand was definitely out of their control. Even if they destroyed the culprit who fractured the celestial heavens, Qin Mu, the situation would remain unchanged. They couldn't alter the course that the situation was heading into regardless of how much they cared, so it was pointless to worry about it. In contrast, the dragon Qilin's ability to fall asleep at such a critical moment of life and death was in itself impressive. 10 beings at the celestial venerable level have arrived, 6 of which belong to the celestial heavens. Yun Jianli analyzed the situation. This means that there are still 4 celestial venerables left in the celestial heavens, and they still have an overwhelming advantage. Celestial Venerable Mu, the situation hasn't really turned in our favor. If a couple more celestial venerables appear, do you still have reinforcements? Will Celestial Venerable Qin appear? Qin Mu smiled. Founding Emperor is still keeping watch at Carefree Village. He hasn't appeared in the past, and he won't appear now. Besides, who is to say that the remaining 4 celestial venerables won't help me? Yun Chuxiu, who was standing nearby, looked slightly stunned as she turned her gaze towards him, seemingly in deep thought. Amongst the 10 celestial venerables of the celestial heavens, Wu, Hua, Xiao, Zhu, Lang, Chong, Yen, Hong, Su and Gong, only Ancestral God King had revealed his identity. The others hadn't done so in order to avoid becoming a political enemy after killing Celestial Venerable Mu. And also Celestial Empress, who was on Qin Mu's side, was secretly among them. Celestial Empress was forced to help Qin Mu because the body of Mistress Yuanmu was in Qin Mu's hands, and she feared the resurrection of her sister. Qin Mu confidently swore that someone else would help him. Among the 10 Celestial Venerables, who would that be? The 10 Celestial Venerable were never one complete unit. In the past, everyone kept causing trouble and arguing with one another. Not long ago, Celestial Venerable Hao went to the lower bounds with the most powerful divine weapon, but was forced back to the celestial heavens. Was that move to prevent the primordial realm from falling into the hands of others? Another Celestial Venerable approached them. The island where the slow winding pavilion sat could no longer take it, and the edges of it began to crumble. The rocks of the island were constantly being shattered into powder. The palace maids on the island screamed as they backed off, rushing towards the slow winding pavilion to prevent themselves from being annihilated by the terrifying aura of the Celestial Venerables. Although the slow winding pavilion that Qin Mu was in was by the sea, it was secretly protected by Heaven Duke, Earth Count, Celestial Empress, and others, so they wouldn't be affected for at least an hour and a half. However, the arrival of this Celestial Venerable once again tilted the scales. The island they were on couldn't hold out for much longer, and it, along with them, would soon be ground into dust, their souls being dispersed. At this moment, another Celestial Venerable arrived at the Jade Sea. His arrival rebalanced the situation and prevented the shattering of the island. Amongst the 10 Celestial Venerables, how dare people still stand on the opposing side of the celestial heavens? A Celestial Venerable masked in dense light laughed and said, "It's in vain that we call each other Dao friends, as unexpectedly, some people here are hiding things from others. Nevertheless, you lot are the minority." At this moment, another Celestial Venerable arrived and tilted the scales once more, causing the island to continue collapsing. Yet, as this Celestial Venerable stopped, another Celestial Venerable approached, and balance was restored. The island's collapse was thus stopped. The 10 Celestial Venerables of the celestial heavens had all arrived one after another, adding Heaven Duke, Earth Count, Celestial Venerable Yu, and Celestial Venerable Yu. There were 14 extremely strong practitioners present. Yun Jianli was extremely grateful as he remarked, "What a rare scene to witness, something that has never been seen before. The combined presence of 14 beings who have attained the level of Celestial Venerable. If they were to fight, it would be an unprecedented and magnificent sight to behold." Magnificent Maya ***. Qi Jui was angry and furiously said, with saliva spraying everywhere, "Now should be the time where we go around and beg them not to fight. If they do, we'll definitely die." Second brother, Yue ***, you're still sleeping. Now the question should be on how to clean up the mess. Qin Mu suddenly said, "Well, maybe only Celestial Emperor, who rules the entire celestial heavens, can stop this conflict. Maybe the imperial decree from Celestial Emperor will arrive here shortly." The masses shivered. After all, Celestial Emperor was the lord of the celestial heavens. All of the gods, regardless of whether they were ancient gods or celestial venerables, were his subjects. Celestial Emperor had stopped dealing with politics, allowing the 10 Celestial Venerables to manage the imperial court. In addition, Earth Count, Heaven Duke, and others rarely listened to the orders of Celestial Emperor. Nevertheless, he was still, in the name of the celestial heavens, the common lord of everyone. If he were to show up, he could definitely stop this conflict. Nevertheless, Qin Mu and Celestial Empress both knew that the common lord, the ancient Celestial Emperor, who was the ruler of the celestial heavens in name, had died a long time ago during the Dragon Han era. The reason that the celestial heavens still kept him as the ruler in name was because of the conflict of interest between the 10 Celestial Venerables. If there were no ancient Celestial Emperor, who amongst them should take his place? They had to maintain the identity of the ancient Celestial Emperor and weaken the power of the ancient gods whilst trying to strengthen their own. It was only when one's power and authority overrode that of the other 9 Celestial Venerables that they could destroy the ancient Celestial Emperor and claim the throne for themselves. If they couldn't do that, none of them would actively expose the fact that the ancient Celestial Emperor had already died and would continue to recognize the ancient Celestial Emperor as their common lord. As for Yun Jianli, he didn't know that the ancient Celestial Emperor had died, as the Yun family didn't pass on that fact. due to how big the relation between the Yun family and the ancient celestial emperor was. If they were to pass on that fact, the Yun family would have been eliminated. It wouldn't have become a large and influential family of the celestial heavens. Sometimes, ignorance was required for one to survive. This became one of the unwritten rules of the celestial heavens. Suddenly, a voice came to break the stalemate at the Jade Sea. An imperial decree has arrived. Celestial Venerable Mu has contributed greatly, coming up from the lower bounds without any grievances over the hard work he has done. To reward Celestial Venerable Mu, I gift upon him fine wine and beautiful ladies. Yun Chuxiu glanced at Qin Mu, and Qin Mu revealed a smile. Yun Chuxiu snorted. On the jade pool, a Celestial Venerable also snorted as he retreated into the darkness without a trail. The 1,000-mile peach forest also vanished at an astonishing rate. Ultimately, the peach forest disappeared with the palace within it, leaving behind a single peach flower floating in the sky that disappeared after rotating. The other Celestial Venerables followed. Heaven Duke became a beam of light that rose into the sky, while Earth Count sunk into the darkness. At the same time, Celestial Venerable Yu's paper boat went into Yudu. Soon the place became empty, and all that was left was the broken Jade Sea. The space that was rippling couldn't settle down within the moment. Countless divine soldiers and divine generals lined up, escorting a god official who opened a shattered space whirlpool, taking a lot of effort to descend upon the island. He held an imperial edict in his hands and proclaimed, "Celestial Venerable Mu shall receive the decree." Behind him were palace maids of great beauty, and in their hands were various precious artifacts, fine wine, and all sorts of peculiar treasures gifted to Qin Mu by Celestial Emperor. Qin Mu bowed and submissively said, "This subject shall receive the decree." That god official placed it into his hands and swiftly told him, "Please rise, Celestial Venerable. You are a Celestial Venerable and should act like one. No one can accept your respects. People, please tidy up the residence of the Celestial Venerable." The countless divine soldiers and divine generals retrieved their precious artifacts and took all of the shattered space fragments before fusing them together to repair the jade pool. The rest of them took out an artifact of creation to create land and the island. They went about their ways, busy yet silent. The rest of them found many bodies from the shattered jade pool and ordered people to load them onto ships to be shipped off and buried. It wasn't the first time that the celestial heavens had experienced something like this. They were prepared, so when they executed their plan, it was in an orderly manner. In the sky, there were heavenly ladies that danced and performed gracefully. The sounds of the drum were pleasing, and their dance was enthralling. It was a sight of prosperous peacefulness. That god official was refined and courteous to Qin Mu as he said, "It has been a long time since Celestial Venerable Mu returned to the celestial heavens. Are you used to it?" Celestial Emperor was worried that you wouldn't be able to get used to the surroundings, so he sent these ladies to be enjoyed by you. If Celestial Venerable still has other requirements, please tell me. Although I can't play host, I can inform Celestial Emperor, and he will be fast in granting your request. Qin Mu observed the palace maids and joked, saying, "There are already enough palace maids in the jade pool, so why bother with more maids?" That god official seemed to not understand him as he asked, "Palace maids at the jade pool? Since when were there palace maids at the jade pool?" "It's because there's nobody serving you in the jade pool that Celestial Emperor sent me to bring people to serve you." Qin Mu was stunned as cries of agony filled his ears. He quickly turned around. The divine soldiers and divine generals that followed the god official were capturing the jade pool's palace maids. After handcuffing them, they beheaded them, obliterated their primordial spirits, and dispersed their souls. The divine soldiers and divine generals were swift, massacring the palace maids before dragging the many bodies onto a boat and ordering them to be shipped off. There were still divine ladies dancing in the sky, and divine music melodiously surrounded them. They sang and danced as if they couldn't see the river of blood beneath them. Cold air flooded out of Qin Mu's heart as he turned to look at the god official. That official was full of smiles as he informed him. They heard what shouldn't have been heard, saw what shouldn't have been seen. Therefore, they had to be eliminated. "Please don't make my job difficult. These are the customs." Qin Mu stayed silent. The thing that was frightening wasn't what the god official said. It was the fact that these were the customs. He looked at Qi Jui and Yun Jianli, who remained motionless. Clearly, they were used to such things in the celestial heavens, which was the most frightening thing. The reform shouldn't only reform the paths, skills, and divine arts. It should also change this disgusting way of thinking. If we only reform paths, skills, and divine arts and not this way of thinking, even if we do overthrow the corrupt celestial heavens, all we'll be doing is building a more corrupt one. His heart was filled with sorrow. During the High Emperor era, the philosophy at hand was that human lives were greater than heaven. During the Founding Emperor era, the philosophy promoted was that humans were important and that gods should serve humans. Eternal Peace's philosophy became that of the path of the saint, destruction of the god within one's heart, which was used by the everyday people. During all of these eras, generation after generation fought and sacrificed with their blood. Yet, such philosophies were never spread to the celestial heavens. Reform, if only applied to the paths, skills, and divine arts, wouldn't be a proper one. "What are you thinking?" that god official asked. "I am thinking." Beneath the calm appearance shown on Qin Mu's face, there was magma gushing up, as if he were a volcano that was about to erupt. He said, "I will one day smash this corrupt world." That god official was stunned as he said, "Well thought out, celestial venerable. However, the trend is already set in motion, and it can't be stopped by anyone. Faster!" He hollered at the divine soldiers and divine generals, "Clean this place up. Don't disrupt the celestial venerable's rest." Soon, the darkness that shrouded the jade pool dissipated. The jade pool was restored, and it resembled a sea. As vast as it was, the divine turtles who carried the divine mountains and islands all died during the battle that night. At this moment, from who knows where, another batch of divine turtles appeared, along with some divine mountains and islands, allowing them to bear these mountains and islands in the Jade Sea while roaming. Some of the divine ladies planted some giant lotuses, and they bloomed. Many little ladies who were flower spirits lived in these flowers. They sat beside the sea and rinsed themselves, singing and playing their instruments. It was a sight of utmost beauty. That god official bowed to Qin Mu. "Celestial Venerable, this place is essentially back to normal. Are you satisfied?" New palace maids replaced the old one in the jade pool. The new ones were even more attentive and even better at serving people than Yenner. Their faces were decked with smiles, and their postures were delicate and elegant. They were diligent and fast, able to fulfill any requests. Qin Mu knew that these palace maids were so cautious because, after seeing the death of the previous maids, they worried about their own lives. Although he wanted to, he was too powerless to reform the celestial heavens now. After those shocking unforeseen circumstances the day before, the celestial heavens returned to being just as peaceful and harmonious as usual. Although the incident caused a great ruckus, no one in the celestial heavens talked about it, acting as if nothing had happened. The ruckus caused by the jade pool incident was too large to be completely covered up. The reason people didn't talk about it was that they didn't dare to. Nevertheless, people with keen eyes in the celestial heavens could see the situation. Although the celestial heavens seemed unbreakable, the incident at the jade pool showed that the celestial heavens had been in a dilapidated state for some time. At any moment, the celestial heavens could fracture. The arrival of Celestial Venerable Mu only accelerated said process and sharpened the originally hidden conflicts to the point that moderation became impossible. Most people's focus was still on the jade pool incident. This was the first big event caused by Celestial Venerable Mu's arrival, and it had already split the celestial heavens. The incident at the jade pool was the first eruption of the dark undercurrents in the celestial heavens. There would be a second and a third time after the first, and the conflicts would grow to be sharper and sharper until things got out of hand. The jade pool quieted down until 2 days later, when the great-great-grandmother of the Yun family led the widows of the Yun family to the jade pool, claiming to be there to visit Yun Jianli. This great ancestor of Yun Jianli's was the wife of Celestial Venerable Yun, and the Celestial Empress of the Heaven Han Celestial Heavens during the Dragon Han era. After the defeat of the Heaven Han Celestial Heavens, people either died, fell, or escaped. From Celestial Venerable Yun's bloodline, only she escaped whilst being pregnant with the son. Due to the status of Celestial Venerable Yun, the Dragon Han Celestial Heavens didn't trouble her, and Celestial Emperor received them into the celestial heavens. He built the Yun residence and made her mistress Yun Xiao. Then, the bloodline curse of the Yun family emerged. and the males of the family died after growing up, generation after generation. This left a lot of widows behind in the family. Although many widows remarried, many stayed. Thus, there were many tough ladies in the Yun family who were especially protective of the males of the Yun family. The scribe of the celestial heavens came along with Mistress Yun Xiao and the others to record down the meeting. Celestial Venerable Mu personally received Mistress Yun Xiao, and both of them held an intimate meeting in the slow winding pavilion to engage in friendly discussion. They exchanged their opinions on the peace and prosperity the celestial heavens was experiencing today. In actuality, Mistress Yun Xiao was ferocious and was the first to interrogate Qin Mu. She wanted to imprison Yun Jianli at the Yun residence before complaining about how Celestial Venerable Mu put Yun Jianli in danger. Even Yun Jianli's wife struck out against Qin Mu in the hopes of beating up the Celestial Venerable as a warning. This was the scribe's idea of a friendly exchange. The scribe, who had a headache induced by the bickering of these ladies, didn't record much down, especially after Qi Jiui invited him for some drinks. It was only when these tough ladies heard that Qin Mu had eradicated the bloodline curse of the Yun family that their anger turned to happiness, and they soon apologized to Qin Mu. As for the idea that both sides exchanged opinions on the celestial heavens' prosperity, in reality, it was more of Qin Mu hearing from Mistress Yun Xiao about the various factions within the celestial heavens. The widows of the Yun family were gossipers who leaked everything about every palace and hall of the celestial heavens. The scribe of the celestial heavens was intoxicated due to Qi Jiui and the dragon Qilin's drinks, and thus resorted to recording the incident with sublime words of deep meaning. Mistress Yun Xiao once again led the women of the Yun family back to the Yun residence after hugging Yun Jianli along. The Yun family was happy after Qin Mu eradicated the young lad's bloodline curse. This time, the Master of Creation hiding in the celestial heavens didn't appear. Celestial Venerable Mu, my husband actually wanted to see you again. Mistress Yun Xiao actually still looked young. She merely pretended to be old by wearing a gold crown with a phoenix's tail, clutching a dragon headstaff, and dyeing her hair white. Trying to seem old, she glanced at the Yun family's widows, and they immediately surrounded and trapped the scribe. The scribe wanted to move forward and listen in on Mistress Yun Xiao and Qin Mu's conversation, but he was trapped by the Yun family's widows and became secretly anxious as a result. They talked while walking as Mistress Yun Xiao explained. My husband waited for Celestial Venerable Mu Yu to show up again for his entire life. He often talked about establishing rules for the Heaven Alliance, that one couldn't be too nice to bad people or too bad to good people, and that one must treat good people even better and bad people even worse. Yet, he couldn't put it into action because before he died, he realized that the Heaven Alliance had begun to treat bad people too nice and good people too bad. Qin Mu looked down at the road before looking back up and remarking, although it's easy to say such a thing, it's hard to carry it out. People are always too critical of good people, and too tolerant of bad people. He left behind an item that he wanted me to give to you. Mistress Yun Xiao continued. I was pregnant when I painstakingly escaped the Heaven Han celestial heavens. I had a hard time protecting myself, and even if I lived I couldn't protect that item. Thus, I entrusted it to Dao Ancestor, who was an exceptionally good friend of my husband, which made depositing the item with him the safest option. Dao Ancestor? Qin Mu stopped and asked. Madam entrusted the item to Dao Ancestor? What was it that Celestial Venerable Yun left behind? Mistress Yun Xiao replied. It was a case, but I don't know what was inside since I never opened it. Qin Mu nodded and continued. Celestial Venerable Yun was an intelligent person with great foresight that I cannot match. What he left behind must have an in-depth meaning. It's unfortunate that when I returned to the Dragon Han Celestial Heavens, I was too busy to talk to him in detail. Who would have thought that would be the last time we met? Mistress Yun Xiao changed the topic and said, Just now Jianli said that he plans to head down, which I don't agree with. The lower bounds are too dangerous. It was hard for him to rid himself of the bloodline curse, and now, he wants to seek death in the lower bounds. He'll basically be cutting the bloodline of the Yun family. Celestial Venerable Mu, you are close to him. Please help me talk him out of it. Qin Mu smiled. Madam, which do you feel is safer? The celestial heavens or the lower bounds? Of course, it's the celestial. Mistress Yun Xiao was stunned as she realized Qin Mu's point. Still, she pointed out, accompanying kings is akin to accompanying tigers. There are 10 celestial venerables in the celestial heavens, which increases the danger by tenfold. Even then, the lower bounds are filled with danger. There's no future there. If the celestial heavens decided to activate disasters there again, his presence there would put him in danger. Qin Mu glanced at her as he suggested, "Wouldn't it be safe if we overthrew the celestial heavens? Nestlings eventually have to fly out of their nests. In my opinion, he isn't one, as he has a lot of ambition and baggage. Not to mention, he showed proper restraint and expediency when being with Celestial Empress. I have to say, madam, you don't need to restrain him anymore. You know that Yun Chuxiu is Celestial Empress?" Mistress Yun Xiao became nervous as she kneeled down, sighing. "I really don't want Yun Jianli to walk down the path of his ancestor. Finally, the Yun family has a child that can live long enough. Nevertheless, Celestial Venerable is the beneficiary of the Yun family, and thus I shall entrust Jianli's life to you." Qin Mu returned the favor hastily. "Please don't do this, madam, I don't deserve this." Both of them rose as Qin Mu smiled. "Yun Jianli's a genius of this world. After heading down, he will definitely grow beyond your imagination. There's no need to worry, madam," Mistress Yun Xiao continued. "I wish for him to revive the Yun family and restore his ancestors' achievements, but I don't want him to die. Celestial Venerable Mu, you boys always have all sorts of ambitions and ideals. I don't understand all of this. All I can do is silently support you boys. Farewell." Qin Mu sent her off. The ladies of the Yun family left as well, while Yun Jianli and Yun Chuxiu stayed at the jade pool. Qin Mu fell into deep thought. "Celestial Venerable Yun left behind a case for me at Dao Ancestor's place. Is Dao Ancestor still the sloppy Taoist from the previous jade pool meeting? Is he still a Dao friend of Celestial Venerable Yun? Was he lost in the power and luxury that the celestial heavens provides?" After much thinking, he finally made up his mind. He was going to see this old sloppy Taoist no matter what. To see Dao Ancestor directly via the celestial heavens Dao sect would be too obvious and traceable, which would likely give Dao Ancestor trouble. Qin Mu groaned before setting up a plan. "After the jade pool incident, you still dare to go outside? Are you not afraid of being beaten to death?" Qijui wasn't comfortable with this idea and scolded Qin Mu. "You want to go out by yourself, leaving me, second brother, and sister Yenner to watch you die by yourself?" The dragon Qilin walked behind Qin Mu, while Yenna morphed herself into a fat bird that stood on the dragon Qilin's head, then looked back at Qijui. Qijui was furious as he rushed forward angrily, refusing to speak as a solemn expression adorned his face. Curiously, Yun Jianli looked at him and said, "Are you not a follower of the Celestial Venerable? How can you talk to him like this?" He didn't know that Qijui and Qin Mu had never had an amicable relationship. The fact that they didn't fight was already giving a lot of face to second brother. Yun Chuxiu gently suggested, "Brother Jiu, it's a good thing to be out sometimes. Although the scenery of the jade pool is beautiful, after some time it gets boring. You should accompany him to walk around." After being called Brother Jiu, Qijui's bones became weak, his soul flew, and his heart was filled with sweetness. "This demoness is indeed powerful, my Dao heart. Screw the Dao heart." Yun Jianli followed them, asking, "Where do you intend to go, Celestial Venerable?" Qin Mu's eyes flashed as he laughed and said, "So many strong practitioners visited me during the jade pool incident. If I don't return the visits, I will be criticized as being ill-mannered." Yun Jianli was shocked, and Qijui and Yenner couldn't help but feel chills down their spines. Qin Mu was planning to visit the beings who aimed to assassinate him. How daring! Only Yun Chuxiu wasn't afraid. Instead, she was extremely cheerful. Out of the strong practitioners who attacked the jade pool, who is the closest? Qin Mu inquired. Yun Jianli and Qijui looked at each other, keeping silent. Yun Chuxiu quickly replied, I know. The closest one to the jade pool is Celestial Venerable Lang, God Emperor Lang Xian in the Lang Xian Divine Palace. God Emperor Lang Xian has students from around the world. His palace is also an important ground of the celestial heavens, and is extremely magnificent. Qijui's expression changed rapidly before he repeatedly said, No, we can't go to Lang Xian Divine Palace. Brother Jiu. Yun Chuxiu blinked her beautiful sparkling eyes at him, intoxicating him with her beauty. Qijui was confused and without realizing it said, All right, let's go to Lang Xian Divine Palace. After they left the Jade Pool, they soon arrived at Celestial Street. The Celestial Heavens Market was extremely lively and was a part of the Heavenly Market. Although the Celestial Heavens was pretty high up, the gods weren't entirely self-sufficient since they still had to feed their large families. Hence, the market was important. There were a lot of half-gods within Celestial Street, on top of people from many races including humans. It was just that the half-gods outnumbered everyone else. It was spacious, and there was an endless stream of cars and horses. Business was clearly good. However, just as Qin Mu and his gang approached, the people there suddenly stopped to look at him. It was as if time has stopped. In the next moment, all sorts of alarms went off. Carts rolled and horses ran away as one divine beam after another flew in all directions. Celestial Street immediately became empty, with not a single soul present. Shocked, Qin Mu looked at both sides of the street. The shops of the Celestial Realms had also closed shut. A person who was 5 feet tall acted somewhat slowly and was thus locked out. He hammered a door loudly in desperation, crying miserably. Qin Mu walked forward concerned. "Brother! Save me!" The dwarf cried uncontrollably when he saw Qin Mu approaching him. He leaned against the shop door, desiring shelter in the shop, then started begging. "I don't want to die here." Qin Mu became even more shocked as the door suddenly opened. The dwarf fell into the shop before it was shut immediately. The door and windows were locked tight. "Thanks for the rescue." Inside the shop, the dwarf said, "You are akin to my second parent for rescuing me. I will never forget it." Within the shop, someone chided him, saying, "You certainly are daring, not running after seeing the plague god and instead choosing to cry and almost implicating us." The dwarf explained, "I was so scared that my legs became jelly and I couldn't run." Silence. If someone assassinates this pestilence, everyone on this street will be silenced. Qin Mu and the others finished walking through Celestial Street and arrived at another street. This street had long been evacuated, and not even a shadow was in sight. Yun Chuxiu praised, "How impressive, Celestial Venerable! Everywhere that you go, there's no sign of life at all." Qin Mu laughed. "I'm a Celestial Venerable after all, so it's obvious that my appearance would be impressive." The tiny Earth Count emerged from the Dragon Cheelan's ear and solemnly inspected the surroundings, which were awe-inspiring. The Dragon Cheelan was afraid that he would get in trouble, and quickly drooped his ear before stuffing it back in. The tiny Earth Count hammered his ear, but the Dragon Cheelan tolerated it all, refusing to let him out. Yun Chuxiu noticed the tiny Earth Count and was visibly shocked. She suddenly and mysteriously laughed. They arrived in front of the Langxian Divine Palace, and although its plaza wasn't as vast as the Jade Pools, it was still considered one of the grandest group of buildings in the celestial heavens. The place proved to be dazzling, and there was nothing between each of the palaces except the clouds, so one had to fly to get around. In reality, most of the celestial heavens buildings were like that. Not every place was perfectly connected. For example, the Jade Pool floated in the sky and was surrounded by clouds. Only the tributaries of the Celestial River were connected to the Jade Pool, and the Jade Pavilion which the Jade Pool was in wasn't connected to the rest of the celestial heavens. The space between the Heavenly Market and the rest of the places was also empty, meaning that one had to fly between these places and the Heavenly Market. The other buildings within the celestial heavens were also often not connected together. This was because of how, when the celestial heavens was being built during the first year of the Dragon Han era, the scale of it wasn't as great as today's celestial heavens. It was only formed out of 36 celestial palaces and 72 throne halls. The celestial palaces, throne halls, and the Jade Capital formed one structural body. These buildings, only when pieced together, formed the celestial heavens, which created the situation where the halls and palaces weren't connected to one another. Later on, the original 36 celestial palaces and 72 throne halls were moved to other places in the universe to guard said places. After constant expansion, such as adding on the merger of the Heaven Han Celestial Heavens, Dragon Heaven Celestial Heavens, and Dragon Han Celestial Heavens, the celestial heavens of today achieved its scale. However, the tradition that each place within the celestial heavens was independent remained too. The Langxian Divine Palace already knew of Celestial Venerable Mu's trip here. God Emperor Langxian's disciples were quick to report it. The main disciple of the God Emperor, Chong Ziding, was in charge of the palace, and upon hearing of Celestial Venerable Mu's visit, he instantly felt his head hurt. Celestial Venerable Mu is really approaching? He asked again and again. Big brother, he's already outside the palace. Chong Ziding mocked him, saying, why is he here? Is he not afraid of death? The masses looked at one another, and one of them was daring enough to say, Big brother, who dares to kill him? A couple of days ago at the Jade Pool, even Celestial Venerable struck and he still didn't die. If he dies in our Langxian Divine Palace, we'll be in big trouble. Other forces will use this to accuse us of hurting Celestial Venerable Mu, and we'll end up dying with him. Chong Ziding's headache grew to the point where his head was figuratively cracking. He waved his hand and told them, of course I know of the consequences. I have heard that he now has no soul and is merely alive due to his undying God consciousness. He doesn't have long left to live. Although we can't kill him directly, we can make him suffer setbacks and accelerate his death. His eyes flashed as he smiled and said, if the great Celestial Venerable Mu is defeated by the disciples of Celestial Venerable Lang, not once but hundreds of times, his confidence and beliefs will suffer a great setback. Won't he die faster then? The masses' eyes flashed with his. Chong Ziding smiled wickedly, saying, we are disciples of a Celestial Venerable, guided by one since we were young, and we cultivated using the best techniques and divine arts. In contrast, Celestial Venerable Mu is merely a country bumpkin from the lower bound that used Celestial Venerable Ling's divine art to go back to the Dragon Han era, ending up with the title of Celestial Venerable. Defeating him is easy. As long as he doesn't die in the Langxian Divine Palace, it's none of our business. One of the youths frowned. Big brother, I heard that Prince Yu and the others challenged him at the Jade Pool with the intent to humiliate him, and they ended up dying. Prince Yu was also pretty high up on the Divine Talents list, and he could kill people with the power level of a prince. His power level is certainly not low. Chong Ziding smiled. The two lists are merely gimmicks to fool little kids. Look at the disciples of each of the Celestial Venerables, how many of them are on the list? The Celestial Venerables each hide their own techniques and stuff heavily with the intent of not letting the other Celestial Venerables know about their techniques. The disciples of Celestial Venerables on the list use techniques that aren't from the Celestial Venerables with the aim of fooling the other Celestial Venerables. If you lot use Master's greatest technique, it'll be easy to defeat him. I want him to vomit blood and die from depression. The masses let out a long sigh of relief as they said, with this advice from Big Brother we are relieved. It's just that, what if he doesn't dare to accept the challenge? Chong Ziding laughed again. Is he not the rumored Overlord body? I have heard that it's unique. Use that and spite him with words. He fights when he smells blood. This man is merely 20 to 30 years old and doesn't have a deep knowledge base. Prepare yourselves, I will go and see Master. The masses exited the place to prepare. In the God Emperor's hall, Chong Ziding bowed and reported the incident, saying, Master, is it fine to let the disciples handle this? Does Master want to meet him yourself? The horns rose on God Emperor Lang Xian's head. His face was tall and ancient-looking. He was the first half-god of the world, and his parents were also ancient gods who gifted him immortality, allowing him to survive. It was said that he was so strong after his cultivation that he was powerful beyond measure. He was older than Celestial Venerable Yu and Celestial Venerable Hao then. It was even rumored that he fought in the large battle at the Blood Rest Zone, although that was unconfirmed. Another mystery was which two ancient gods were his parents. His disciples were also mostly half-gods. Amongst the half-gods, Celestial Venerable Hao, God Emperor Lang Xian, and Ancestral God King were the three leaders with the great rallying power. They were the most powerful beings of the half-gods. Your arrangement is great. Just be careful not to kill him. God Emperor Lang Xian frowned. This fellow dares to come here? This move makes my head ache. The celestial heavens is already a mess because of him. It was only because of the mutual suspicion and guardedness of the 10 celestial venerables that no fight broke out. This daring fellow. It's already annoying that he created trouble for the other heavenly kings and the 4 deities. Now he has come here to provoke me. These are some tumultuous times. He walked around as he muttered, I won't see him. He was one of the 5 elders who founded the Heaven Alliance, and his place there is higher than even that of Celestial Venerable Ling. Amongst them, Celestial Venerable Yu is disabled, Celestial Venerable Yun and Celestial Venerable Ling died, while Celestial Venerable Qin doesn't dare show himself. He's the only one left and thus, in name, is the most powerful person in the Heaven Alliance with the highest status. If I see him, I have to bow and call him brother. Chang Ziding was secretly alarmed. Too timid to talk, he thought. If I handle this properly, I will have accomplished something great for Master. He will certainly reward me heavily. With a deep gaze, God Emperor Lang Xian slowly said, "This fellow took a lot of advantages. During the first year of the Dragon Han era, when Celestial Emperor invited me to join the Celestial Heavens meeting, he ran to join the Jade Pool meeting with Celestial Venerable Yu. As such, the Heaven Alliance was created, and his position became mine instead. Ziding, I will now roam the world. After humiliating him, invite him to leave. Don't let him die here. And," he solemnly said, "provide extra protection for Celestial Venerable Mu. Don't let anything too bad happen to him. If he dies in my Langxian Divine Palace, it'll be like covering me with a huge pot of *tea that I can never wash away. There are already Celestial Venerables who don't like me in the Celestial Heavens, who wish to remove me. It's just that they lack the opportunity. Now their chance has arrived. Someone might strike now and kill Celestial Venerable Mu." Chang Ziding felt a chill go through him as he hastily left. God Emperor Lang Xian floated away, laughing. "My position in the Celestial Heavens meeting was still above that of some ancient gods. It's just that the Jade Pool meeting, unexpectedly, disregarded the rankings of the later generations. In contrast, the relatively unremarkable Jade Pool meeting became the big meeting that set the course for the next million years. Luckily, I joined the Heaven Alliance early enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a chance to reap any benefits." Qin Mu was emaciated and lacked both blood and essence. He was coughing all the time as many of the disciples of the Langxian Divine Palace tried to provoke him. They tried to do so by inviting him, Overlord Body Celestial Venerable Mu, to teach them. Qin Mu remained silent and didn't respond. His essence and blood floated around, a clear sign of his lack of tranquility within. Qijui couldn't be provoked and he proclaimed, "Brothers of Langxian Divine Palace, what are you doing? Celestial Venerable Mu is here to visit Celestial Venerable Lang. Not fool around with you disciples. If you lot want to fight, fight me." A lady laughed. "Qijui, we've heard about you. You're a mere disciple of the four deities with barely average abilities. There's no need for you to embarrass yourself. We are here to invite Celestial Venerable Mu to teach us as the Overlord Body of Eternal Peace. You aren't qualified at all." Qijui was enraged. "Does one need qualifications to challenge others?" The masses laughed so hard that they couldn't speak. Yun Jianli gently smiled. "Then am I qualified? I'm the descendant of Celestial Venerable Yun. Can I replace Celestial Venerable Mu to accept your challenges?" Chang Ziding walked in from outside and laughed. "Your family's grandmothers aren't people to be provoked, so why challenge us personally? Relax, we just want some pointers in our cultivation from Celestial Venerable Mu. I have heard that Celestial Venerable Mu led a reform in the lower bound and became one of its 3 heroes. He is also the unique Overlord Body of Eternal Peace, and if he guides my brothers and sisters, their horizons will be broadened." The masses bowed and greeted. "Big brother." Qin Mu stood up while trembling and said, "Since everyone wants to witness the power of the Overlord Body and the greatest techniques of eternal peace, then I shall." He suddenly coughed rapidly, and his body wobbled, and he held out his hand as if wanting to hold on to something. Yun Chuxio went up to him to hold him, whispering, "Don't always try to show off. Love your body. I already told you not to come out, yet you insisted upon it." As she finished, she sneakily pinched and twisted the meat under his armpit. "Have I been played by Celestial Empress?" His heart stirred, and he quickly pushed this young lady away before huffing and saying, "I'd rather die than be humiliated. I can still do this. I'm here to see Celestial Venerable Lang, not to be humiliated. As the Overlord Body, I must maintain its dignity. Come at me." He straightened himself and retrieved the core of the primordial tree. Clutching his wooden rod, he shouted with all his pride and arrogance, "The Overlord Body of Eternal Peace has never lost and never backed down." Qijui sighed and lamented, "I'm afraid that many people are going to die again from us going out. First at the Jade Pool and now at Celestial Venerable Lang's Langxian Divine Palace. Does Cult Master Qin really want to tear the celestial heavens a new one? Yun Chuxiu's heart jumped when she saw that wooden rod. The core of the primordial tree. That little maiden Mother Earth went all in to please this fellow. Just now that brat god Emperor Langxian sneaked away and isn't here. Celestial Venerable Mu can't unleash all of the core's potential. If I help him, it should be easy for us to tear this place apart. Excitement brimmed in her eyes. Qin Mu lifted the core of the primordial tree and coldly asked, "Who wants some pointers from me?" He had his own calculations within him. After seeking trouble with Celestial Venerable Lang and creating trouble with the other giants of the celestial heavens, I'll finally be able to see Dao Ancestor at the Celestial Heavens Dao sect. Chong Ziding cast a glance at a youth who stepped forward with a shallow smile. He bowed and said, "Disciple of Celestial Venerable Lang Shun Wanzhou. Please guide me, Celestial Venerable." Chong Ziding coughed and reminded him, "Brother Wanzhou, don't hurt Celestial Venerable Mu. We are the hosts and should treat our guests properly." Qin Mu said stiffly, "No need for that. Hurt me all you want." Shun Wanzhou laughed and said, "I can let you go first so that I can see the power of the Overlord body." Qin Mu was furious and vital qi flooded into the core of the primordial tree, which allowed its potential to be fully unleashed as he thought. Should I kill him with one hit? If I do, others might not dare to challenge me. Suddenly, an unbelievably violent magic power flooded into the core. It was extremely terrifying and deep, far beyond his cultivation. In fact, it was thousands of times more powerful than his cultivation. Qin Mu felt shocked as the core in his hands morphed into a giant pillar that pierced the skies. It swept towards Shun Wanzhou and pulverized him. Not only was he pulverized, but the other disciples of God Emperor Langxian couldn't escape their ill fates, and they too were pulverized by the primordial tree's core. Chong Ziding saw that things weren't going so well, and lifted his hands to block it. However, he was still crushed by its terrifying force to the point that he vomited blood and flew away. The unbelievably large pillar in Qin Mu's hand swept through Langxian Divine Palace amidst his horror. The space beneath it shattered and pulverized the palaces. The palaces and halls of the Langxian Divine Palace were swept by the terrifying force and fell out of the celestial heavens and into the vast starry sky. This rod of Qin Mu's destroyed most of the Langxian Divine Palace. Out of shock and anger, he turned to look at Yun Chuxiu and said in warning, "Little maiden, I have tolerated you for long enough." Yun Chuxiu also got angry and rose up. "You don't know what's good for you. Do you think that I haven't been tolerating you?" Qin Mu laughed and attacked Yun Chuxiu. "Why attack the Celestial Venerable's disciples? If you want to fight, fight the Celestial Venerable himself." Qi Jui and Yun Jianli gawked at the sight. The former hastily kicked the Dragon Qilin and demanded an explanation. "Second brother, what's going on? Explain." The Dragon Qilin raised his head and saw Qin Mu and Yun Chuxiu exchanging blows with each other in the broken palace, their figures leaping through the air as though they were flying, moving extremely fast. Yun Chuxiu could be Celestial Empress or her sister, Mistress Yuemu. The Dragon Qilin said. The wooden rod which Cult Master took out just now is called the core of the primordial tree. Its growth rings indicate an age of 50 million years, and it's extremely powerful. It's a precious treasure refined by Mother Earth. However, Cult Master is unable to unleash the power of this precious ancient treasure. Despite that, its power was unleashed just now. Therefore, Cult Master deduced that it was because Yun Chuxiu did something. Celestial Empress, Mistress Yuanmu? Yun Jianli was astonished when he heard that. Then he became a little frightened. Not only had he become sworn siblings with such a terrifying existence, but he had also kept her by his side to spy on her, checking her intentions. Now that he thought about it, he felt a little chill down his spine. However, he began to feel perplexed and asked curiously, "Brother Long Pai, do you know if Yun Chuxiu is Celestial Empress or Mistress Yuemu?" Qi Jui cried out, "How can this beautiful lady be Celestial Empress or Mistress Yuemu?" At the same time, he was tremendously curious. During this time, the Dragon Qilin was always sleeping or eating, seemingly in a muddle-headed state, and he didn't see much interaction between him and Qin Mu. How was the Dragon Qilin able to see through Yun Chuxiu's real identity, while the rest of them knew nothing? Langxian Divine Palace was damaged by the core of the primordial tree, so badly that it fell into ruins. Countless palaces and halls had discarded their original formation and were crashing around haphazardly, in utter disorder. Qin Mu stood on a throne hall that was flying around madly, and Yun Chuxiu was extremely far away from him, also standing on a throne hall. However, these two structures were moving in completely different directions. One was moving up the sky while the other was falling. Between these two structures were innumerous giant pillars and collapsed palaces, which were colliding around aimlessly. Also, there were many divine mountains flying around, whistling as they went past. It was a scene of chaos. Earlier, Yun Chuxiu had unexpectedly released the magic power of a celestial venerable and activated the power of the core of the primordial tree, destroying most of celestial venerable Lang's Langxian divine palace. This was the reason behind Qin Mu's anger. He went there with the intention of causing a small conflict and had no desire to fall out with God Emperor Langxian, celestial venerable Lang. As long as he refused to admit he was wrong, there was nothing celestial venerable Lang could do to him. The unexpected action of Yun Chuxiu was equivalent to slapping celestial venerable Lang's face 10 times while holding his neck. Even though he was celestial venerable Mu, one of the 5 elders who founded the Heaven Alliance, celestial venerable Lang wouldn't sit idly by after this. He would go from making a move on him in the dark to openly taking action against him. This pile of *T was too big and smelly. He was unable to carry it on his own. Although Qin Mu was extremely audacious, looking as though he didn't care about life and death when he barged into the celestial heavens, fearless even when he ventured deep into a dragon's watery lair or a tiger's den, each of his moves were actually carefully planned and executed. Every time it looked alarmingly dangerous, there were hidden opportunities or paths of survival. He could rip apart the celestial heavens and have sufficient room to maneuver to protect his life. However, what Yun Chuxiu did instantly pushed him to a side opposing celestial venerable Lang, a side where he was in the wrong. Qin Mu raised his hand and struck out a palm towards Yun Chuxiu, who was separated from him by many wildly flying palaces. Countless stars pulsed behind him, dancing in the sky. In the blink of an eye, they formed a resplendent galaxy. The starlight converged as divine energies of magnetism between the stars suddenly surged. The galaxy transformed into a mighty current, gushing forward ferociously along with his palm strike. Immediately, those structures that were flying around madly were attracted by his divine art. His divine energies of magnetism caught those humongous objects, and limitless magnetic force locked Yun Chuxiu's body in place, pulling those humongous objects to smash upon her. The terrifying and powerful magnetic force caused the space around Yun Chuxiu to contort. As she fell, the gigantic palaces, together with the crumbling remnants of stone pillars, broken bricks and tiles, all crashed into her. The scene was immensely frightening. Qin Mu executed his magnetism divine art and gained an advantage over the battlefield. The structures of the Langxian divine palace were made of divine metal and extremely heavy, which augmented the power of the divine art. Even a real god wouldn't be able to carry the combined weight of these structures. Qi Jiui and the rest were looking up at what was unfolding and saw broken tiles and shattered bricks smashing into Yun Chuxiu like comets. The surrounding space was contorted by magnetic force, increasing the speed of these tiles and bricks, making them not inferior to divine weapons. The dragon Qilin said, "Sister Yenner, do you still remember the twin lotuses at the ruins of End? There was a crystal coffin with a lady inside." Cult Master said that she was the sister of Celestial Empress, Mistress Yuanmu. Yenner nodded repeatedly. Of course she remembered. She also caught a huge worm in the world within the flowers at the ruins of End. It took her a long time before she was done eating the worm. Qin Mu had told her the snake bell wasn't a worm, that it was an ancient god born in the ruins of End, a spirit of great Tao transformed from the stamens of the twin lotuses. However, Yenner still considered it a worm. The snake bell ancient god that she ate still hadn't been digested fully, which was why her body remained chubby. The dragon Qilin said, "During the incident at the Jade Pool, when the two celestial venerables joined forces against celestial venerable Yu, it was a desperate and urgent situation. Hence Cult Master took out the crystal coffin and placed it in front of Yun Chuxiu, planning to revive Mistress Yuanmu. Subsequently, another celestial venerable arrived, restoring balance to the situation and making both sides evenly matched. Therefore, Cult Master didn't proceed with reviving Mistress Yuemu. So who was the one that came forth to help? Qi Joey and Yun Jianli's faces were full of shock as they stared at the Dragon Qilin blankly. The Dragon Qilin said. Expectedly, it was Yun Chuxiu who helped. In that case, Yun Chuxiu could only be either Mistress Yuenmu or Celestial Empress. Just as he finished his sentence, Yun Chuxiu spread her arms to perform a stroke in the air. A bottomless abyss appeared. Swiftly breaking down Qin Mu's seemingly powerful move, Yun Chuxiu stood above the abyss. That was the abyss of the ruins of End created by her divine art, and it looked like it could swallow everything in the world. The swirling galaxy created by Qin Mu's divine art, the contorting divine energies of magnetism, the countless broken bricks and shattered tiles, and the crumbling palaces and great halls, they all plunged into the abyss of the ruins of End. Upon seeing this, Qi Joey, Yun Jianli and the rest were stunned. This type of divine art was what the Celestial Empress sisters were well known for. It looked like Yun Chuxiu was one of the two sisters indeed. Qi Joey cried out, "Second brother, weren't you asleep all along? How did you know so much?" The Dragon Qilin gave him a look of disdain and said calmly, "All you see is me sleeping, but you are unaware of how studious I am. I was cultivating while I was napping. The most hardworking person in the world is obviously Cult Master, but I am second." Yenner was full of praises, and she took out a spirit pill. The Dragon Qilin opened his mouth precisely at the moment Yenner reached over with the spirit pill and put it into his mouth. As the Dragon Qilin was eating the spirit pill, he narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, "I have followed Cult Master for so many years. The people I have met are gods who are either famous, have cultivation beyond measure, or wisdom that is deeply profound. Or they could be strong practitioners of reform, celestial venerables, or sacred gods. Hence, my knowledge and horizon naturally increased, just like how a ship rises with the tide." Yun Chuxiu's abyss of the ruins of End divine art had swallowed Qin Mu's divine art together with those broken structures. The great abyss contorted and trembled, preparing to violently spew a dark, mighty current towards Qin Mu, one transformed from the things it had swallowed. Suddenly, the subsequent galaxy he followed up with transformed into the apparition of Heaven Duke, striking the abyss of the ruins of End with a punch. Yun Chuxiu's expression changed slightly. Qin Mu had originally used the divine energies of magnetism as his divine art. The divine energies of magnetism between the stars were extremely strong, so she didn't expect he would use the stars to transform into Heaven Duke. His earlier divine art looked like one move but was, in fact, two. The relationship between Mother Earth and Heaven Duke was unclear and complicated. Mother Earth had once snuck into Xuandu to steal Heaven Duke's essence, giving birth to several children. The great Tao of these two ancient gods had complementary effects. However, Mother Earth also had unclear relationships with other ancient gods. She once snuck into Yudu to steal the essence of Earth Count and had a few children. Other gods also had experiences of her stealing their essence. Hence, Heaven Duke wasn't particularly fond of Mother Earth. Qin Mu was successful with his attack. He flew above Yun Chuxiu, and his great divine art of martial Tao burst forth, striking down with a punch. "Didn't you say that you've already escaped the binding of the ancient gods?" Qin Mu fully unleashed his cultivation and coldly said, "Then why are you still using the divine arts of ancient gods?" The great hall beneath Yun Chuxiu's feet broke into pieces. With a swish, the great hall that was smashed by the two fell like a comet, disappearing from everyone's eyes. In the next moment, a long river appeared, and Yun Chuxiu was standing above it. The 5 great thunderclouds had transformed into fire bell divine weapons, and the giant bells surrounded Qin Mu, shaking violently. The celestial river swirled and coiled, chaining up Qin Mu. Behind her, a dragon turtle and flying serpent circled, roaring in rage. The 1,000-feathered serpent merged with the celestial river, and as the great river rotated, the serpent's feathers flew out of the waters like knives, slashing towards Qin Mu, who was trapped in the center. Its speed was fast like lightning, its power like rolling thunder. The fire bell divine weapons formed from the 5 great thunderclouds shook ceaselessly until the space surrounding Qin Mu crumbled into fragments. The dragon turtle shook its body, and pieces of its shell rose into the air. It formed an extremely thick cube-shaped seal, trapping Qin Mu inside. The cube prevented him from escaping, and his only option was to be refined to death by the great 5 thunderclouds and the celestial river flying serpent. If Yun Chuxiu is indeed Celestial Empress or Mistress Yuanmu, she has indeed escaped the binding of the ancient gods. Qi Jui's expression changed slightly as he turned towards Yun Jianli. Sickly master, how did you get to know her and become sworn siblings? Yun Jianli's face was a little pale. He released a bitter laugh and said, how would I know her abilities were so strong? Even battling her within the same realm, Celestial Venerable Mu is unable to defeat her. Right at this moment, the big disciple of Celestial Venerable Lang, Chang Ziding, flew through the air, pouncing towards Qin Mu and Yun Chuxiu from afar. He was seriously wounded by the core of the primordial tree, and the Langxian Divine Palace had been shattered to pieces. His losses were so great that he couldn't help but fall into a violent rage. He had no other thoughts except to kill Celestial Venerable Mu. Yenner spread her wings and transformed into a dragon sparrow. Her primordial spirit flew out, forcefully blocking his attack head-on. Chang Ziding's anger couldn't be satiated. He was about to fight to the death with Yenner when Yun Jianli suddenly shouted, Senior Brother Chang, calm down. It wasn't Celestial Venerable Mu who destroyed your Langxian Divine Palace, it was Celestial Empress. Damn! As Chang Ziding was about to swear, it looked like he was suddenly splashed with a basin of cold water, drenched with penetrating coldness. His voice was trembling as he asked, Sickly master, what did you say? Yun Jianli didn't seem to be bothered and said, Celestial Empress made use of Qin Mu's divine weapon and destroyed your Langxian Divine Palace. Chang Ziding's expression changed rapidly. He looked towards the young lady and Qin Mu, who were fighting among the chaotic ruins, and murmured, Celestial Empress? The dragon Qilin glanced at him and said slowly, I'm not sure if you'll make it even if you escape now. Your master won't forgive you for the destruction of the Langxian Divine Palace, and now that you know it was Celestial Empress who was causing trouble in the dark, she won't spare you. Chang Ziding's limbs went cold, and he immediately flew off with a whoosh. He knew he was in deep trouble. Although God Emperor Langxian would spare him, he would still subject him to a living hell. Who knew how many years he would be suppressed before he was released? After all, the destruction of the Langxian Divine Palace was a huge loss of face for this Celestial Venerable, so he would want to punish him. However, when he learned the attack was by Celestial Empress, he understood the gravity of the situation. Celestial Empress wouldn't give him a chance to inform God Emperor Langxian of the truth. That was why he made a decisive choice, fleeing the Langxian Divine Palace to protect his life. On the other side, the black tortoise seal suddenly exploded. Qin Mu held knives in each of his hands, forcefully hacking open Yun Chuxiu's great divine art. He then slashed towards her, his magic power surging wildly. The one with the surname Qin, don't you know when to back off? Yun Chuxiu's beautiful head was almost chopped off by the slash of his knives. She couldn't help but be furious, lowering her voice and saying, I have already given in to you. How else do you think you can match up to my magic power? This pile of *T is my gift to you. Just carry it with you. A gift from you? Qin Mu was furious. With a flash of his body, starlight filled up the sky as his corporeal body expanded steadily. His brows and eyes were white, giving off boundless starlight, like a smaller version of Heaven Duke. He raised his hand, shifting the stars in the sky as his voice boomed. Every pile of *T that I've received is due to my own abilities. There's no need for you to give me any. It looked as though the real Heaven Duke had arrived. He swung his fists and legs, and the starlight on the top of his head surged towards the sky, transforming into the 7th Heavenly Tao Heaven Vault. The Heaven Vault was vast and wide, covering a radius of 100 miles with azure blue, showing people that the terrifying existence controlling the Heavenly Tao within this space was him. In his palm was the 4th Heavenly Tao Heaven Mudra. Every attack of his seemed as though Heaven Duke was punishing evil and rewarding good. He struck Yun Chuxiu's Tao heart, wanting to purge the sins inside in her weakness and delicateness. He wanted to purge her god nature, making her immortal again. Finally, he wanted to beat her until she wailed and whined. Behind him, the heavenly law was like the Big Dipper, the heavenly knowledge was like an umbrella, the heavenly yang was like a giant sun, and the heavenly yin was like a bright moon. Under his feet was the heavenly platform. The vital qi at the top of his head had transformed into a canopy, while both of his eyes were heaven's eyes, giving off the burning rage of heavenly Tao. Qi Jui looked at Yun Jianli in shock and whispered, "Cult Master Qin's divine arts are quite similar to the Yun families. Both are ever-changing, with all sorts of divine arts at one's fingertips." Yun Jianli also revealed a shocked expression. He said, "There are still some differences. Celestial Venerable Mu looks like he just figured out these types of techniques, so he isn't very skillful when executing them. These aren't the techniques of my family." "Oh, I know." He lowered his voice and said, "Celestial Venerable Mu is skilled in the art of creation, and he is very familiar with heavenly Tao. Hence, he can execute techniques similar to those of my family." Yun Chuxia was pushed back at every step, and she couldn't help but be furious. From her perspective, Qin Mu didn't know how to back off. He owed her his life. If she hadn't revealed herself at the Jade Pool to assist Celestial Venerable Yu and fight off those two Celestial Venerables, Qin Mu would be dead by now. So what if she was giving him this pile of *T? However, Qin Mu's attacks were getting more and more ferocious. With all sorts of heavenly Tao divine arts at his fingertips, he was unleashing them freely. The power of each move was immensely strong, demonstrating the strength of his magic power and how he had far surpassed his peers. Yun Chuxia was incensed but was hesitant in displaying more power. She could feel many pairs of eyes focusing on what was happening here. Qin Mu was a rash fellow who didn't understand the gravity of things. However, she knew that some of these eyes could be celestial venerables. If she killed Qin Mu or displayed her true ultimate skill, she was afraid that other celestial venerables would have a handle on her, especially her true ultimate skill. The current 10 celestial venerables were trying to complete the celestial heavens realm technique. However, the 10 celestial venerables were unlike they were in the past. There were many rifts between them, and they didn't trust each other. Hence they worked alone. The 10 celestial venerables had never been closer to reaching the celestial heavens realm. Whoever could completely cultivate this realm would be the ruler of this world. If she could get her hands on the completed techniques of other celestial venerables, it would be greatly beneficial to her. First, it would be helpful in creating the complete celestial heavens technique. Second, she could use it to discover the flaws in other celestial venerables' techniques. There were a lot of plots between the celestial venerables, even going as far as sending people to infiltrate and learn from their opponents. This had resulted in celestial venerables not being willing to impart their actual techniques when accepting disciples. This little fellow is very persistent. It will be very difficult to defeat him if I don't execute my true divine art technique. However, this body isn't the corporeal body from the ghost ship, but a corporeal body that I created using the creation divine weapon. At the moment, it cannot withstand much magic power. There were several times where Yun Chuxia was almost wounded, making her furious. Her current body was only at the divine bridge realm, and hadn't risen to the celestial palace realm. Earlier, the core of the primordial tree's explosion of power was driven by magic power channeled from her true body, as she took the chance to strike at celestial venerable Lang. However, by only relying on the abilities of this body, it would be very difficult to defend against Qin Mu if she didn't use her true ultimate skill. Their speed became faster and faster. Qin Mu wanted to force out her true divine art, but Yun Chuxia was too slippery. No matter how ferocious his attacks were, she was able to handle them. At this instant, a giant hand suddenly reached over from the sky, shattering the countless flying palaces of the Langxian Divine Palace into powder as it charged towards Qin Mu. Qin Mu's body transformed, changing into Earth Count, who had the head of a cow, the body of a man, and the face of a tiger. The long horns on the top of his head stabbed right into the sky, turning into the falling lava of devil fire and looking like two streams of yellow springs. He raised his hand to make a stroke at the heart of his brows, opening up his vertical eye. Chi! A ray of light sliced past, chopping that giant hand into two halves straight on. A grunt could be heard as god blood gushed forth, the two pieces of severed arm falling from the sky. That was a devil god, who was hiding far away, trying to secretly attack and kill Qin Mu while he was fighting with Yun Chuxia. He didn't expect Qin Mu to transform into Earth Count, and use the Eye of Earth Count to cut off his arm. It was exceptionally rare to see a power as strong as Qin Mu's vertical eye. That devil god was also remarkable. After his arm was severed by Qin Mu, he immediately retreated without leaving any trace. Yun Chuxiu took the chance to attack. She appeared behind Qin Mu, striking the area behind his heart with her palm. Bang! As her strike landed, her power exploded. The center of her palm seemingly turned into a great abyss of the ruins of End, instantly contorting Qin Mu's corporeal body as it was drawn into the center of her palm. Suddenly, the back of her hand cracked. A beam of sword light pierced through the back of her hand, stabbing into the heart of her brows. Yun Chuxiu got a fright and swiftly retreated. However, Qin Mu felt like he was growing out of her hand. He only looked a foot tall, merged with her flesh. No matter how she retreated, she couldn't shake him or that sword. Yun Chuxiu clenched her fist tightly and punched outwards, smashing a ruined throne hall into pieces. Suddenly, a knife light appeared within the throne hall and slashed towards Qin Mu. There was another god hiding in the throne hall, waiting for the opportunity to strike at Qin Mu. Yun Chuxiu saw where he was hiding and forced him out with a punch, resolving her own perilous situation. Qin Mu's figure suddenly disappeared from her hand. Now the god's blow was slashing towards Yun Chuxiu. Yun Chuxiu frowned slightly as she pointed out a finger. That god's eyes were full of fear as his corporeal body collapsed from the inside, instantly turning into a tiny lump of flesh that exploded with a bang. At this moment, Qin Mu had already arrived behind Yun Chuxiu. She felt a chill down her spine as a humongous aura shot up from Qin Mu's body into the sky. That aura felt as though it was the ancestor of all Daoan techniques. If one were to close their eyes and solely sense this aura, it would feel as though the vast and majestic celestial heavens had surged forth and that Qin Mu was its ruler. Celestial Emperor! Yun Chuxiu gritted her teeth. You dare to use that despicable man's divine art against me? Her aura changed as her fine hair rose and her sleeves fluttered. A totally different aura exploded forth, suppressing Qin Mu's supreme aura of 10,000 Dao. Yun Chuxiu was finally enraged and completely incensed. Had Qin Mu not executed the ancient celestial emperor's divine art, she would still have been able to restrain herself. However, Qin Mu insisted on using the ancient celestial emperor's great Dao divine art, and this had caused her to lose control. She hated that man to the core. The moment she viewed Qin Mu as that heartless man, all of her techniques completely surged forth, counterattacking. The great Dao roared as though a billion gods were chanting the Dao language at the same time. The sound was deafening. Qin Mu actually felt that there were over 20 different auras in her body that exploded simultaneously. These auras looked like they came from over 20 great emperors who had cultivated different techniques. It was a strange feeling. Yun Chuxiu was obviously one person, but she had over 20 different auras as though she was the amalgamation of over 20 great emperors. This meant that she had cultivated over 20 different emperors' throne techniques and blended them together. This was almost an impossible feat. Qin Mu blended Emperor's throne techniques to create his Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, and this was an extremely difficult and prized achievement. But to blend over 20 Emperor's throne techniques, even if Qin Mu was able to find so many techniques, it would be immensely difficult to blend them together. However, Yun Chuxiu was able to achieve this. Or should he say Celestial Empress was able to achieve this. Two types of terrifying divine art surged forth, and Qin Mu felt his Celestial Emperor divine art crushed by an overwhelming force. It seemed that the so-called supreme power of 10,000 Dao couldn't even withstand one blow. Boom! The area was instantly wiped clean of the chaotic Langxian Divine Palace as countless palaces were swept away. Qin Mu was also knocked away, and those palaces collapsed onto him one after another, crushing him. The frightening power of Yun Chuxiu was beyond imagination. In the past, Qin Mu was severely wounded by Yin Qiling's Celestial Emperor Divine Art Dao 1. Now that he had gotten the runes of the ancient Celestial Emperor's Great Dao and comprehended Celestial Emperor's divine arts, he didn't expect it to be incapable of withstanding just one attack from a Celestial Heaven's Realm technique. Yun Chuxiu bellowed in rage as another divine art surged forth, following closely behind the first. It was more terrifying than before. She shouted, "All despicable men must die." Bang! The palaces and rock fragments that were pressing upon Qin Mu were pulverized, and the great halls exploded one after another, forming balls of smoke. This woman had lost control. It was truly frightening. At this moment, a ray of sword light flew from the dust clouds, stabbing into her divine art. It then penetrated her palm as Yun Chuxiu forcefully struck him with it. Thud thud. Two loud noises were heard. The first was from Qin Mu, whose corporeal body exploded, turning into a lump of blood fog. The second was from Yun Chuxiu as the sword light pierced the heart of her brows and caused the head of this beautiful lady to explode, releasing fresh romantic flowers. The dragon Qilin, Qijui, and the rest hurriedly rushed over. Before they arrived, they saw the blood fog coagulating, reorganizing into Qin Mu's body. The head of Yun Chuxiu, which had been blasted into pieces, was also closing up, forming a breathtaking face with no traces of her wounds. The dragon Qilin, Qijui, and the rest quickly stopped, feeling bewildered. Qin Mu retracted his sword and laughed heartily, feeling a little satisfied. Celestial Empress, you have exposed your techniques and revealed two of your divine arts. How does it feel to have this pile of *T of mine dumped on your head? Yun Chuxiu's face was black. Suddenly, she displayed a smile, looking very charming. You have been forced to reveal that your soul has already recovered, and that you aren't a man without a soul anymore. This is indeed not a small pile of *T. They both stared at each other. Suddenly, Qin Mu laughed loudly and said, "We are done with Langxian Divine Palace. Where shall we go next?" Yun Chuxiu cheered as she went forward to take his arm. She raised her head to look at his face and replied sweetly, "Let's go and find Ancestral God King, it's fun over there." Yun Chuxiu's character is somewhat peculiar and jumpy. It's rumored that ever since her birth, Celestial Empress had the qualities needed to be the motherly model of the world. Meanwhile, Mistress Yuanmu was an active and energetic person that was also oddly clever. Qin Mu brought Yun Chuxiu with him towards Yun Jianli, Qijui, and the others. Intense waves tossed around in his heart as he thought, could Yun Chuxiu not be Celestial Empress and instead be Mistress Yuanmu? If it isn't Mistress Yuanmu but Celestial Empress that died during the Celestial Empress assassination. Celestial Venerable. There are a lot of goosebumps on the back of your neck. Yun Chuxiu curiously looked at it and exclaimed her discovery, shocked. You're sweating at the back of your neck. How strange. She extended her gentle and warm hand to touch his forehead and exclaimed, more shocked than before. Your forehead is completely dry. Celestial Venerable, you're sick. No, you're sick. Qin Mu was furious and shook her off to return to the others before whispering, Sister Yenner, come onto my shoulder. It was only when Yenner morphed into a little green sparrow and sat on his shoulder that Qin Mu felt relieved. When his hand was held by Yun Chuxiu, he had an unexplainable uneasiness. She was peculiar and temperamental. Just now, she was dramatic to the point of death. Now she was sweet to the point of sickening. He couldn't deduce what Yun Chuxiu's real thoughts were. When Yun Chuxiu held his hand, it gave him the feeling that a venomous python was coiled around him. It was only when Yenner landed on his shoulder that he felt relaxed. Yenner also observed the back of his neck curiously before wondering, Master wasn't nervous before, why is he nervous now? There's still one suspicious part. I summoned the soul of Celestial Empress and discovered that she wasn't dead. Even more peculiar was how Mistress Yuanmu had her body in the crystal coffin move once, which was suppressed by Big Brother Wei Suifeng. Qin Mu's eyes flashed as doubts began to rise. Then who is this Yun Chuxiu? If she is Celestial Empress, this personality of hers is too far apart from her usual one. Or is this her nature? Yun Jianli, Qijui, and the others were extremely guarded towards Yun Chuxiu. Although they were as well-mannered towards her as before, they didn't dare to be too close to her. Only Qin Mu felt relatively at ease, and he became even closer to her than before. The two were chatting heartily as they walked towards Ancestral God King's Ancestral King Palace. The Qin guy wants to come to my place? Within the Ancestral King Palace, Ancestral God King Celestial Venerable Zhu had already heard the news. He laughed and said, Does this fellow not know that I want to kill him and that he's sending himself to death? Unless he believes that I can't strike in my Ancestral King Palace. Do you really want to kill him? Great Sun Sovereign asked. This Great Sun Sovereign wasn't the one from the ancient gods. The one from the ancient gods was betrayed for knowing too much, dying during the Dragon Han era. Today's Great Sun Sovereign was a god from the High Emperor era named Dan Fenglai. He was a disciple of Ancestral God King, and was tasked to become the general of the heavenly cycle stars of the celestial heavens. The reason that ancestral God King was able to be an equal rival of celestial venerable Haoan God Emperor Langxian was because of how he was the son of Heaven Duke and had mastered the heavenly cycle stars. Most of the star gods had to listen to his orders. Of course not. Ancestral God King laughed. Do you think I'm that foolish? If I was, would I be at the position I am today? Sometimes bumbling around isn't necessarily bad. For example, the Jade Pool incident. All of the other celestial venerables were there and hid their identities so they wouldn't be recognized. The 9 of them are suspicious of and guarded against one another, but since only I revealed my identity, they won't be suspicious of me, the boorish man. He put his arms behind him and continued, Celestial Venerable Mu came here to get killed by me, but I won't touch him at all. He isn't my enemy, at least for now. He might have the title of Celestial Venerable, but he's nothing more than a small figure with an overglorified title. Killing him would only spell trouble. Great Sun Sovereign Dan Fenglai was impressed and praised. Brilliant Celestial Venerable. So how do we deal with his arrival here? Ancestral God King said. Celestial Venerable Mu's aptitude is actually not bad. I fought him at the Palace of Mahakala with the strongest weapon. I was at the Divine Bridge Realm and he was able to match me. Even after I used the realm's 28 heavens, I couldn't take him down. Instead, he killed Celestial Venerable Yu's clone. Thus, restrained the disciples to not provoke him. He smiled. Say that I'm not around and force the disciples to treat him respectfully. Don't give him a chance to create a scene. Treat him as if he's a real Celestial Venerable. Once he realizes that he can't gain anything from here, he'll back off. Great Sun Sovereign Dan Fenglai bowed and replied, I will now receive him. Ancestral God King halted him with one more instruction. One more thing, prevent anyone from infiltrating the Ancestral King Palace to assassinate him. He was the victim of an attempt at Langxian Divine Palace, so there will probably be a second time. Don't let this failure of a man die at my place. Dan Fenglai left and led the disciples to receive Qin Mu. Qin Mu looked at this Great Sun Sovereign and laughed. Great Sun Sovereign, I still vividly remember the last time I met you. I almost died at your hands. Dan Fenglai said. I didn't know it was you then and I also held back. Then I was merely using clones and the Fire Crow army to kill those of Crimson Light. I didn't treat you as an opponent. Celestial Venerable Mu, my master isn't here, so allow me to treat you properly as host. Please. Qin Mu followed them into the Ancestral King Palace as he joked. That night at the Jade Pool, I saw someone that looked like a star sovereign trying to kill me. He wasn't powerful but had many clones and morphed into 3-legged golden crows that flew near the water surface. Dan Fenglai joined him in laughter. Countless people cultivate the Great Sun technique. How could it be me? Celestial Venerable, you must be joking. That's true as well. Qin Mu's breath became exhausted as he coughed repeatedly. He glanced at Great Sun Sovereign's brothers and sisters and saw that they were looking downwards, pretending not to see his sign of weakness. Dan Fenglai asked concerned, Is your body alright? Qin Mu seemed slightly lost before returning. His expression changed slightly as he took out a couple of spirit pills that he consumed while trembling. He spat out a ragged breath after catalyzing the medicine's power, then sighed. I have no soul and spirit and am only kept alive by my consciousness. If it disperses, I'll die. I only came to the celestial heavens to revisit old haunts and catch up with old friends. After that, he subtly glanced at those youthful and competitive disciples of Ancestral God King. They were smiling, their tempers remarkably good. Dan Fenglai grew to become more concerned. You have a sickly body, Celestial Venerable. However, good people will be blessed by heaven. It seems that this sickness of yours is dubious and complex and strikes irregularly. I have heard that Celestial Venerable killed a lot of people at Langxian Divine Palace. Very powerful indeed. I can tell that you were feeling better then. He laughed as he spoke. Qin Mu laughed with him and was visibly filled with vital qi. Dan Fenglai sneered internally. This old fellow is truly shameless. He didn't even blush from that. Yet, he was impressed by Qin Mu's acting abilities. He ordered his brothers and sisters saying, Please treat Celestial Venerable nicely. I will call upon some strong practitioners to protect him. The masses nodded and brought Qinmu and the others to view the beautiful scenery at the ancestral king palace. Dan Fenglai immediately got the demon gods in the ancestral king palace to place a net in the skies and a web on the ground to prevent anyone from attacking sneakily and framing ancestral god king. It wasn't until everything was set up properly that he sought out Qinmu. A disciple ran and told him, "Brother, Qinmu opened a forum to lecture. He is imparting techniques at the abyss stage." The other brothers flocked there. Opening a forum to impart techniques at the abyss stage? What is this fellow up to? Dan Fenglai rushed to the abyss stage and saw that it was filled with disciples of the ancestral king palace, who were sitting beneath the stage and listening to the ones lecturing. Thus, we must reform and destroy the divine bridge divine treasure, and open the celestial river divine treasure, for it is orthodox. Look, which one amongst you lot can qualify as my opponent despite being in the same realm as me? This isn't due to me being stronger than you, it's because I opened the celestial river divine treasure. What I'm teaching you is what celestial venerable Zhu cannot teach. Now I can impart the technique to comprehend the celestial river's power to you. Once Dan Fenglai heard him, he was perplexed. This plague god is really imparting a technique. It's just that he's somewhat crazy, talking some nonsense about destroying the divine bridge. I'll listen to him and see how he continues his bluff. I just need to secure the surroundings and prevent him from being assassinated by external enemies. He retrieved and opened a bottle, and as it fell, countless glass balls fell out of it. Going along with the wind, they inflated and flew into the sky to morph into glaring suns. From the suns, three-legged golden crows flew out, carrying the suns into the sky. They were powerful, and they flapped their wings, cut across space, and stuck themselves in it to lie in ambush. They observed every tiny movement around the place. Dan Fenglai stood atop a hill not far away. All that was witnessed by the three-legged golden crows would be reflected in his brain. With the impenetrable net, he laid down that covered the sky and the ground. The ancestral king palace was akin to an iron fortress that couldn't be infiltrated without his knowledge. He secured the surroundings and heard Qinmu's voice in his ear. He somehow became interested in him as he thought, this plague god does have some unique points. His technique, which requires one to comprehend the celestial river's power to open the celestial river divine treasure, is certainly feasible. If one's talent is high enough, one can really open the celestial river divine treasure. However, one has to scrap the divine bridge divine treasure before that. Not good. His mind flew into chaos as cold sweat rolled down his forehead. Not good. His technique requires one to scrap the divine bridge divine treasure. Him lecturing here is akin to eliminating my ancestral king palace's teachings. He flew and hollered. Celestial Venerable Mu is tempting everyone with ridiculous and demonic teachings. No one is allowed to listen. His voice was so bright that it suppressed Qinmu's voice for a moment. Qinmu laughed as he stood and asked leisurely, "Why does Star Sovereign say that? How is my technique a demonic teaching?" Dan Fenglai's face became green as he flew to the abyss stage, hollering, "Celestial Venerable Mu is the head of the traitorous forces of the lower bound, a demonic reformist. What he's teaching is evil and demonic. Don't listen. Forget his words. I will immediately kill anyone who dares cultivate that." Beneath the stage, the many disciples of the ancestral king palace looked at each other, wondering when Great Sun Sovereign became so strict. A youth laughed and said, "Brother, I think that Celestial Venerable Mu's Celestial River Divine Treasure is feasible. If one destroys the Divine Bridge and opens the Celestial River Divine Treasure, their power within the same realm could increase by 40 to 50%, perhaps more." Before he could finish, Dan Fenglai grabbed him and flung him up. He flew and landed in his arms, his neck being strangled. "What did I say? This is an evil and demonic technique." Dan Fenglai shook him and threw him on the ground. He spat out blood and broke multiple bones. Before Dan Fenglai could continue, the sky suddenly started raining blood. His expression changed rapidly, as someone had snuck deep into the ancestral king palace and killed his clone. More streaks of blood rained from the sky as the rate by which his clones died accelerated. Yet he couldn't even catch a glimpse of his enemy. The enemy is a being at the celestial heavens realm, and might even be a celestial venerable. A cold sweat broke out on Dan Fenglai's forehead. At this moment, huge rays of light burst out from the sky. The huge body of ancestral god king appeared in the air and solemnly warned, "Celestial Venerable Mu, someone is here to kill you. The ancestral king palace isn't a place for you to stay. Dao brother, please leave quickly. I will block the assassin for you." Qin Mu saluted him and replied, "Ancestral god king, it's our first meeting. I don't think you should chase away your guest." Ancestral god king returned the favor and saluted half a hand lower to signal his inferior status as he pleaded, "A strong enemy is invading. I cannot protect Dao brother's safety. Please leave quickly or else you might be in danger. Forgive me for being rude, but it would also burden my ancestral king palace. Come Feng, send the guests away." Dan Fenglai's face was green as he raised his hand and said, "Please, Celestial Venerable." Qin Mu and the rest stood up and left. Dan Fenglai led Qin Mu and his entourage out of the ancestral king palace. He was still visibly nervous as he coldly laughed and said, "Celestial Venerable Mu, it's not I who wishes to chase you away. There really is a foreign enemy invading and attempting to frame us for killing you." Qin Mu expressed his thanks and warned, "Star Sovereign, how do you know it's an invasion by a foreign enemy? It could be an internal enemy instead." Dan Fenglai was slightly stunned. He saw him off before he realized it. After, he immediately returned to the ancestral king palace's abyss stage. Before he reached the stage, he saw multiple bodies belonging to his brothers and sisters. His heart shuddered as he made a mad dash forward. The bodies piled up on the way. When he reached the abyss stage, he saw that his brothers and sisters, who were just listening to Qin Mu's lecture, including the one whose bones he had broken, were dead. Ancestral God King stood on the stage, looking at him silently.